Before we do that, let's get a check on the S&P sectors as we go to break. There, literally half up, half down. Healthcare, your best performer.
All right.
Now, before we do that, let's get a check.
Let's see. I can cut that down. All right, what's going on, guys? This is Brother African Emporium. Again, coming to you guys on this wonderful Monday, as I call it, Money Day. Have some errands to run, actually. A couple of them somewhat emergency, but not emergency in that kind of sense. Have to go and take care of the little guy real fast and take care, drop some things off to him a little bit at the garden up here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my live stream here, go handle those things, and I'll come back on. So if you guys are already trading, handling your business like always, you guys are always doing, getting through your day, if you're on the job, whatever, I'll do like before. I just have the live stream going, kind of, reflecting my trades of the day. Doing pretty well so far. Enjoying the start of the trading week here. And again, when I come on a little later, I'll be able to provide some more commentary, a little color, insight of what we got going on for the rest of the week. We got a big earnings week, as we've already seen. Citigroup kicked off, or Citibank, excuse me, kicked off, or same thing, kicked off their earnings today. It came in somewhat pretty much in line to the analyst expectations, not necessarily really wowing the crowd. So the stock necessarily didn't do as well as people would like for it to have done. Barring the fact that the federal rate cuts are somewhat still looming in essence, where that may also be a problem for the banks. And so that's why you have this kind of pullback happening right now, as we've seen in the banking sector with the JPMorgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Wells Fargo, those likes. Some of them are up a little bit, but they're not necessarily tearing it up a little bit. And that's also, again, in reflection to the federal rate cut that's pending the end of the month. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the live stream, share the screen, then I'm going to handle the business, handle my business real fast. Should be going for about an hour, if that. Then I'll be back and provide a little commentary for us, the back of the day. We have a great earnings, again, session between this evening and tomorrow with JB Hunt kicking off this afternoon, which is going to be a big one to watch as well, because we're talking about transports in the trucking sector. That's been under a little fire right now. If you've been kind of paying attention to that whole overall, ETF, which is XTN. If you guys not familiar with that ticker symbol is XTN, which is a reflection of the transport as far as spiders is concerned. So you can get a chance to go check that stock out. That ticker symbol is JBTH. I'm also considering taking a position on that going into earnings. I may hedge it as well. So if you guys want to do a little kind of recon research on that, that'd be great. But again, tomorrow morning, we have some great earnings kicking off too. And also, again, Wednesday, and Netflix and some others. So a great week, again, to be kind of poised to take some of the earning plays, into their prospective earnings report for this Q2 session. I'm looking forward to that myself. So again, peace, power, and profit to everyone that's tuning in. I know you guys, again, are busy at the midday hour. You're probably getting a little lunch. You're probably, handling a little bit. You might be watching another live stream like I was just on with my family over at the Dagger Squad. They're getting ready to break down some great scholarship information over there. So I'm very, very well excited to hear that in my journey over into this to my airing that I have to take care of. And so again, a lot of stuff going on this Monday here. And I wish you guys are definitely being prosperous in your endeavors as this day goes forward. And so again, if you guys can bear with me, I'm gonna set my my live stream screen sharing aspect up, so you guys can kind of see what I got going on as far as my trading for us today. Pretty much all of my trades are doing well at this moment. Excited about that. So let me also share the other ETF for the transports as well, because again, they're getting beat up today. That's why I'm very feeling kind of somewhat bearish against JBTA, which is JB Hunt. You guys have seen those trucks out there on the roads plenty of times, so I'm pretty sure you're familiar with those. But again, they're having earnings report tonight, so again, we'll see how that turns out. Once they release those numbers. But as of now, I feel a little bearish on it. But again, that's just my opinion. Again, this is all about my opinion. Not necessarily me give you instruction to take a position on it or not. Again, do your own due diligence before you take any position on any stock. Never guess. Never move on hope. Never move on none of those things that doesn't necessarily give you the conviction to make proper informed decisions, right? Again, what, why, where, and when. Y'all know my 4 H's, right? The 4 horsemen, so to speak. Or excuse me, the 4 W's, excuse me. right? I call them the four horsemen, excuse me. But either way, again, I'll be back here in a minute, guys. Let me run and handle this business, and we'll pick up from there. But I will share my screen. If you guys got trades that you're taking, you may want to post them in the back chat for anybody that may stop through, whatever. That's fine. I really didn't get a chance to even share this with a lot of people that I wanted to. So again, I'm running a little bit behind in terms of what I have to do. But either way, when I come back, we'll go from there. All right. So peace, power, profit to y'all. Once again, Ubuntu. Enjoy your session. Enjoy your trading. Make good decisions. And I'll be back shortly. And I'll stop by and pick up lunch for everybody. So make sure you put your orders in the chat. Let me know what you want for lunch, and I'll pick it up on my way back. All right, guys. Peace, power, profit. Let me set up this CNBC like I always do too. So I have CNBC running in the background just in case you guys might want to listen in and see what's going on with the news if you're not already doing it yourself. I like to make sure I keep up with those kind of current events in real time, just in case any kind of news drop on the whim. You'll be privy to that information or that data, which is great, right? Because again, it's always better to be in the know than to be, somewhere out there clueless and trying to figure out what's going on. So definitely tune in, to CNBC, Bloomberg, whatever you may listen to on your own. It's good to make sure you keep one ear to the street, is always what we call Wall Street, so we can make, again, good informed decisions. So the trades I have going on right now, again, PCG, I'll post those real fast. I have Boeing, obviously, I swung Boeing short over the weekend. Also PCG, very excited about those. Also swung a position in AMRN. I have, option plays as well. So this is the totality of all those plays together, respectively. And also I swung Beyond Meat too on top of that, right? And I had a little bit of test, but I had to get out of that. I got shaken out, in that position a little bit, took a small loss on that early cover, and then hit it again short up near as high a little bit, watch it trend down. So we'll see how that position goes. But either way, again, y'all know how to market again. You can't, there's no such thing as being 100% right. We have some small losses here and there, but again, our goal is to walk away profitable at the end of the day, right? So peace, power, profit again. So let me share the screen, make this move. I'll be back shortly. As of now, I've locked in about $900. Again, I took some position, some profit on matter of fact, let me clear this out real quick. I had some of them I took off a little bit off of Boeing, off the big drop, and I took a little bit off of AMRN, and I took a little bit off of PCG. PCG is my biggest trade, my biggest swing trade. Again, y'all know I've been posting almost religiously about that trade going on for months, ever since they announced that they're going to do this whole bankruptcy thing. And so I've been very adamant, and stating my case why, my short thesis on that stock has been very, relegated to the fact that at some point they're going to have to answer, to those bondholders and debt collectors, to the tune where typically when a stock does a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the shares typically are wiped out, meaning they'll go to zero or, substantially a lot lower than what they were trading at, because now you have to liquidate some of your assets to obviously restructure your program to come out of bankruptcy. And so what happened is they initially dropped, from 30-something or 50-something to 30-something to 20-something, then now it's down to like $6. And then again, being manipulated like most stocks are, they got some hedge funds to come in and try to backdoor them to kind of keep them from taking a big L and say that they was going to support this bankruptcy in a way where they're going to restructure it for them. And that seemed to didn't necessarily work out the way they wanted to. So you got this big fight between bondholders, debt collectors, and PCG management themselves trying to figure out what they're going to do with this bankruptcy. So when that's happening, you got this whole kind of issue where stakeholders or shareholders who are lost in between, the average retail traders trying to figure out what should they do with their shares, right? They've already taken somewhat of a big loss if they were in above $30 a share, and they're trying to figure out should they wholesale or whatever. But nonetheless, again, typically a stock, when it goes under Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the share is supposed to go to zero. In essence, if you are, a share, if you're short in the stock or you got puts in the stock at a high strike price and you're banking on that to drop, then those are the type of plays where you get what they call a lottery payout, where the stock goes to zero, which it typically should do. You're in, let's say, $20, and you bought like a $21 strike price, right? And the maximum profit potential you can make if the stock ever goes to zero or down to that level, you're talking about 5-digit type increment numbers, or sometimes 6-digit type increment profit values if you have enough of those put positions in play. So these are the type of lottery plays people bank on sometimes and make a lot of money off of in the event things go that way. But ironically, it had worked that way for PCG because they're running under a different, kind of California lobbyist utility, hedge of money, takeover, manipulated criminality, so to speak, because they've already been, produced to be a felon in terms of the last fire incident that happened a while back that really, put them under the microscope, that they have a lot of inadequate, electrical practices, bad, faulty wiring in terms of their light poles, things of that nature that cause these fires to happen in California. So it's a big mess. Again, I could be here talking about it for days. As you can tell, I'm very well researched in the process. Been following again for years. Been following, not years, months. Been following the court cases, so to speak. So I'm kind of versed on the scenario. But either way, that's my bigger position. All right. So I'm up on that trade right now, roughly about there's 7 on it at this point here, and hoping things kind of roll over a little bit more. We'll see how that works out. But either way, again, took it in relation to the big swing up it had about a week ago, and it started establishing my position on it at that point, little bit by little bit, adding shares to it, to kind of get to where I'm at now. So again, big trade, been waiting on this trade, been kind of waiting to get back in the fold in trading anyway, since I make my move up this area towards DC. So you guys know I've been kind of waiting to get back to the fold and hang out with you guys. And so, we're going to start this journey up, get this thing going so we can kick off some great little trade on the back end of this year, for the back end half of this fiscal year, I should say, in trading, training, whatever we can do to help each other become more profitable in our trading. So with that being said, let me kick this thing off. Let me get out of here again, go handle this business, and I'll check back with you guys here momentarily here. All right, so 1 second here. All right, I got my Beyond Meat trade going as well. All right, so very excited about that. So just need PCG to keep dumping here. As long as it keeps working in my favor here, I'll be pretty happy about that. So, and also took a position on SYMC. Obviously, that's that big news they had with I think it was Broadcom. They're going to scrap the deal with them today. So that stock sold off a little bit too. So I took a little position on that, up about a couple $100 on that. So we'll see. Again, we'll see how the rest of the day turns out. But outside of that, hey, it's a crazy market out there, right? All right, we'll see what comes from the rest of the trading session as it is. So, all right, guys, let me get out of here. I know I've been talking long enough. Let me go handle this business before I get in trouble. All right, and I'll check back with you guys here shortly. All right, peace, power, and profit. All right, make sure everything's good to go here. Yeah, I think we're good to go. All right, let me share my screen, and I'll be back here shortly. All right, is it the, yep, click on it here. Yeah, it's been a minute, right? I've been trying to get back, to my live stream session so long, I'm about forgot how to use the thing, right? That's all right. We're gonna ramp all that up too and make it very pliable in the future. I'm gonna, bring in the OBS system and really work these things to be nice layouts for you guys. So I'm working. I'll get there. All right. Let me cut up CNBC for you guys. And so any news, comes on and breaks out, you guys will be privy to it if you're not already listening to it yourself. And I'll see you guys back here shortly and momentarily. All right. Peace, power, profit, family. All right. Let me run over here. All right, so I think it's set. So we're good to go. All right. All right. Cell phone, got that. All right. Cut that off. Busy day.
the energy halftime report. It's the energy report now. Energy stocks sliding in the wake of Tropical Storm Barry. Thankfully, it was not nearly as bad as some had feared. The Gulf Coast and its refiners were mostly spared. One refinery, Phillips 66, is still closed, but believe it's going to open up tomorrow. But after last month's refinery explosion in Philadelphia, the biggest on the East Coast, our drivers in the Northeast increasingly dependent on Southern gasoline. Here's the idea, Brent, is that 335,000 barrels a day of capacity are gone. They're probably never coming back. That's about 30% of gasoline supply in the Mid-Atlantic and East Coast, the most crowded area in the United States. Most of our gas is now going to come from Houston and Louisiana, places that are subject to storms and flood. But you like the energy sector.
We do, and I think it's interesting that energy has never been more important to the American economy in general, as we're now net exporters of energy. And I think that you definitely always have those black swan type risks. We like energy. Some stats, currently energy is now the lowest weighting ever in the S&P that it's ever been at around 5%.
Never been. It used to be 20%, right?
And MLPs and pipelines. These are companies, Kinder Morgan, Targa, Viper Energy, Black Diamond, that continue to have really high quality cash flow, increase their balance sheet, pay really good distributions, but the market doesn't care. But ultimately they will, because sentiment will change.
Yeah.
And there's also just a real interesting statistic is that Ukraine just recently purchased its first ever shipment of American oil, right? Really important. And I just think the narrative for energy will continue to get less worse.
Yeah.
And those stocks.
Well, we're relying now on colonial and plantation pipelines, given Weiss. I mean, God forbid anything happens to those pipelines. Gasoline supplies, real short supply here in the Northeast.
Right, and I think you'll have time to buy it then. So I wouldn't buy energy now for that. I definitely wouldn't buy the MLPs. They've done nothing. You've seen crude move higher, and yet there's a natural resistance because of the tax filing requirements and so on. Everything they just haven't performed.
Well,
so
it's interesting though. I'm saying MLPs in general, but a lot of them have converted to C corps, and you're getting real high quality dividends while you're waiting. Right. So think if you're looking for the next Nvidia or the next pop, that is not the space. But if you're looking for high quality companies with cash flow, they're absolutely a great place to be, and especially as they're converting to more C corps, which are more investor friendly.
And then they're not MLPs; they're C corps. So MLPs have been under pressure, continue to be under pressure. They had a very brief resurgence there in 2015.
Yep.
I just wouldn't do it.
So basically, the logistics issue that has challenged the Eastern Seaboard for decades still remains in place. It's Pad 1, basically.
Yeah, Pad 1, which is Miami to Maine, but it's gotten worse, Joe, with that refinery being gone, and it's not coming back.
It has worsened, but the counter to that has been Marcellus shale.
Sure. And rail shipments.
Right. Rail shipments, Marcellus shale. So the dependency for the consumer, the economy, and even the market itself, which used to have.
But you can't, Joe, you can't not argue that the refineries in Baton Rouge, we got to go. They're more important than they used to be for us now.
Agreed.
All right. Final trade straight ahead on the halftime report. trades. Bryn.
Gilead Sciences, we like, they pay nice dividend. They would like the increased stake they just took Galapagos. Cheap pipeline, like the stock sell cover calls.
Anastasia.
Healthcare has been an underperformer as of late, but it's trading at 2 turns discount to the S&P. I think it can outperform through this earnings season.
Stephen.
Crown Castle.
Josh.
Schwab.
Joe.
Express.
That does it for halftime. The exchange begins right now.
Brian, thank you very much, and welcome everybody to the exchange. Here is what is ahead, the market's big test. Earnings season kicking off this weekend. Expectations are weak. Could it put an end to this record run? Plus, aiding the Chinese military, that's what one billionaire says Google may be doing. How, and will his accusations catch Washington's attention? Plus, San Francisco's proposed CEO tax, and why Tiffany's luster may not last, and coffee with no coffee. That's ahead in rapid fire. But we begin with today's markets, and Dom Chu with the numbers. Hi, Dom.
As long as the caffeine is in the coffee, I think that's exactly right, Tyler. But the markets could use a little bit of caffeine today. They're a little sleepy, but not bad. We're still holding above that big psychological 3,000 mark for the S&P 500. Even though the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are off just about fractionally, very, very marginally in today's trade. Still, though, keep an eye on what's happening with the S&P and that 4-point loss. Copper, a big focus today. Why? Because it is seen as an economic indicator for global demand, and copper prices are on the rise. They're off their best levels of the session, but at one point hit their highest levels since July 1st. And why? Because that little rebound there has to do with better than expected data on the Chinese economy, industrial output there, also retail sales, even though GDP in China fell to its slowest growth rate in 27 years. And our stock of the day, Chipotle Mexican Grill. Because Chipotle, over the course of the last 5 years, has staged a roller coaster ride where it lost 2/3 of its value and then reclaimed by going 3 times up to where we are now. That is a record high. We'll put a star next to them there. We're off on the session right now, but still a very big run for a stock that's been beleaguered. Big turnaround story over Chipotle. Back over to you, Ty.
All right, Dom, thank you very much, and welcome everybody to the exchange. As we mentioned a moment ago, I'm Tyler Matheson in this afternoon for Kelly Evans. So earnings season kicking off today, and it could be a make or break one for the big rally we've seen so far this year. So what are the expectations? For some answers, let's head down to Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange. Hey, Bob.
Hello there, Tyler. Earnings season has kicked off with Citigroup, but it's really all about the guidance for the second half of the year. The bears believe second half guidance will be cautious and lower than expected due to slower global growth and the related trade and tariff issues. Bulls argue that dovish global central banks and a good chance some kind of trade deal will be reached by the end of the year will win the day ultimately. Now, the main issue is earnings for 2019 are essentially flattish. But the S&P 500, wait a minute, it's up nearly 20%. Oh, that's a problem. That's made the market very pricey. It's now valued at over 17 times forward earnings. That's historically very high. Lower interest rates are definitely helping make stocks more attractive relative to bonds. That's a big help. But much of the guidance will hinge on trade, the dollar's recent strength, and hopes for a stronger global economy. Watch for J.B. Hunt. This is going to be reporting after the bell. This is the largest intermodal, that's rail and truck shipper in the U.S. They're going to have a lot to say about shipping, which has been soft, and pricing, which has also been soft. Tyler, back to you.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We appreciate it. So will the market overlook any signs of weakness here and abroad and put its faith in the Fed and interest rate cuts? Mr. Jack Ablin, Chief Investment Officer at Crescent Capital, and Patrick Chavanik, Chief Strategist at Silvercrest Asset Management. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Patrick, I'm going to begin with you because in my note, I keep seeing the word wobbly, your word, with respect to the U.S. economy. Where are you seeing the wobble?
The recent economic data, people may focus on the last GDP number in the first quarter, but that disguised a significant slowing of momentum in a whole host of different numbers, including in earnings. Earnings were up marginally in the first quarter, but out of 8 out of 11 sectors, they were actually down year on year. So I think that's one of the reasons why the Fed is looking at cutting rates and why the market's eagerly anticipating.
I mean, quick follow-up there. How much of the decline in earnings is the result of unfavorable comparisons because it was the first quarter of last year, or maybe the second quarter of last year, where the tax cuts really started to play, and that tonic has been taken out.
Well, you're not going to see another year like last year, where you had at one point, 30% year-on-year rise in earnings per share, driven number one by the reduction in tax rates, but number two by the big surge in corporate buybacks. So both of those are receding in terms of driving factors in earnings growth, or at least earnings per share growth. That's okay, but the broader issue is that the economy is slowing, and that a number of economic indicators have peaked. Now, that means that doesn't mean we're going into a recession, doesn't mean things are falling off the rails, but it does mean that people are interested in what the outlook is going to be.
Let me bring in Jack Patrick here and see what he says. Do you see it the same way, Jack? Do you see the same wobble? And if you do or don't, what should I do with my money now that we are at the midway point of the year?
No, I don't. I mean, I understand the wobble, certainly Patrick's perspective, and you're right. We got a boost of growth over the last 12 months that really pushed us well above our potential growth rate, which I see as about 2 to 2.5%. You get 0.7% growth in labor force, plus about 1.5%, a little bit higher in productivity. So I think as long as we can stay roughly at that trend growth, while it sounds wobbly, it sounds kind of tepid, we could continue to, baby step forward and continue this expansion.
Can the market
what that means?
Can the market move meaningfully higher, Jack, if the financials don't play ball?
No, and that's really one of my thesis of concern, and that is, financials have underperformed. It's been a pretty good forward look indicator into the S&P overall. It is the circulatory system of our financial market. And as long as net interest margins continue to trend lower, it just creates more and more headwinds for financials. So that's something I'm going to pay pretty close attention to when the banks report this week.
I'm going to ask both of you to answer quickly with your best idea or strategy for the second half of the year. Patrick, you go first.
Well, the most important thing out there is that this is not a market that's gorging on risk. This is actually a market that is pricing, trying to avoid risk. And the thing that is expensive out there is actually risk off, not risk on.
It's treasuries, right? Treasuries among them.
Exactly. And you've got $12 trillion worth of bonds out there that are at negative interest rates. So even if, despite the fact that stocks have rallied, despite the fact that things are, in my view, looking a little wobbly, you're probably better off going along for the ride than seeking a very expensive safe harbor.
Best idea from you, Jack, for the second half?
Yeah, I would say, probably on this trade thing, a barbell between emerging markets, maybe ex-China, and U.S. small caps. This way, if the dollar drops, you get your benefit in the emerging, and if the dollar rallies, then small caps should outperform large.
Jack Ablin, Patrick Chovanec, thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Good to see you. We are following two stories out of Washington, D.C. today. President Trump reportedly considering removing the Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross. Kayla Tausche, who helped break that story, will have the details on that. But first, let's get to Ilan Moy, who has the latest on Congress's rush to raise the debt ceiling ahead of the summer recess. Hi, Ilan.
Hi, Tyler. Well, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi are scheduled to speak on the phone sometime today on the path forward for the debt ceiling. The two of them spent about 12 minutes on the phone over the weekend, and then Pelosi publicly issued her position in this letter. She said that in addition to the debt limit, they must also reach an agreement on spending priorities based upon the principle of parity, that's equal amounts for defense and non-defense spending. Congress is short on time to strike a deal. Treasury is warning that it could run out of cash at the beginning of September, and that's because corporate tax receipts have been coming in much more lower than expected. They've been very volatile. So lawmakers are realizing that this means that they will need to vote on something before they leave for summer recess, which begins in just about 2 weeks. Tyler, nobody wants to miss their summer vacation.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it gives them a deadline at least, Ilan. Ilan Moy, thank you very much. All right, now turning to news that President Trump is considering removing his Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross. Kayla Tausche has the details. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Tyler. President Trump has considered replacing the Commerce Secretary at least twice before, but now that the administration has lost a legal battle over the 2020 census, aides and outside allies tell me and NBC News that Ross could leave as soon as late summer. Finalizing the census was said to be one of the last items on Ross's to-do list, and after a Supreme Court defeat, his chief of staff, for one, is already interviewing for new jobs. The Commerce Department did not deny the reporting, and in a statement praised Ross's tenure leading the agency, and NEC Director Larry Kudlow today did the same.
As I said, Wilbur is an old and dear friend of mine. I want to make this very clear. He's done a great job at the Commerce Department. Full stop.
The friendship between Ross and President Trump has been fraught since Trump took office, with friction over the management of the Census Bureau, in addition to Ross's proclivity for TV interviews and several different trade issues. Tyler?
This would make another cabinet opening, presumably with someone who would be in there in an acting capacity at first. But as you look at the list of potential replacements for Ross, who would be on it?
Well, Tyler, because this is something that has been talked about at previous instances in the administration, there's sort of a running shortlist for people who are said to be interested in that job. At earlier times, the shortlist included the former Small Business Administrator Linda McMahon, the acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, and even the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, though he has several irons in the fire right now. But the name that's come up in several conversations this week is Ray Washburn. He led the Overseas Private Investment Corporation until March. He has a Senate confirmation, and he's still serving the president on his Intelligence Advisory Board. So that's one name to watch.
All right, Kayla Tausche in Washington. Thank you. Here's what else is ahead on the exchange.
Coming up, Amazon's Prime Day isn't just about Amazon anymore. How others are cashing in on the company's big day. Plus, one billionaire investor says Google should be federally investigated. Why? And does his role on Facebook's board have anything to do with his call? And coffee without the coffee beans. This is The Exchange on CNBC.
to the exchange, everybody. That time of year again, Amazon's Prime Day is in full swing. It is a 48-hour discount bonanza that promises a massive number of sales and new Prime members for Amazon. But this year, competitors are throwing their hats in the ring. We will explain that with Lauren Thomas, who is CNBC.com's retail reporter, and Courtney Reagan. Welcome to both of you. What's different about Prime this year, and why is Prime so prime to Amazon?
So Prime this year is longer. It's longer than it's ever been, 48 hours. The first year they started this in 2015, it was 24 hours, eventually 30, then 36. So we've got 2 full days. It's in 18 countries, so that's one more than last year. Though most experts think about 60% of the Prime Day event sales will actually come from the United States. And it's really important to Amazon because of 2 reasons. Number one, it's a recruitment vehicle for new Prime members because you have to be a Prime member to take
advantage of the discounts.
That's right.
How much does Prime cost now?
$119 a year. There is also
I should know because I pay it. But
yeah, see, but you don't. See, and it's automatic for you.
It is automatic.
And you know what? I bet you spend a lot of money on Amazon, more probably than your non-Amazon shopping counterparts. There's a study from Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, and they said on average, a Prime member who shops on Amazon is going to spend $1,400 a year. And if you're a non-Prime member, but you shop on Amazon, you spend $600. So you are a much more valuable member to Amazon, or shopper to Amazon if you're a member of Prime.
And they're collecting $119 for every member there is.
That's right. And they need to continue.
How many do we know how many millions of those there are?
So in April of 2018, Jeff Bezos told us for the first and only time that there were 100 million worldwide. We don't know since then. Count & Company estimates about 63 million in the United States.
Lauren, let's turn to what Amazon is trying to push this year. And among other things, it is fashion, including their own brands and brands that they have made deals with.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know about yourself, but I think most of us, when we think of Amazon today, the word fashion doesn't tend to come to mind. Now, even though Amazon's expected to do more than $35 billion in sales this year in apparel, a lot of that is largely from basic items like white t-shirts, socks, underwear. Those are the things that you think of, oh, I'll go to Amazon, when I need something in a pinch.
Staples.
Exactly, staples. That's what they're good at. But I think it's evident Amazon more and more is trying to become a destination for high-end fashion. It's working with influencers now on social media, I think, to reach this younger generation of consumers, to get them thinking, if I need a nice dress for an event, maybe I'll go to Amazon. But definitely something that they're still working toward, because I don't think that mentality has really switched into, the consumer's mind.
When I grow up, I want to be an influencer. That's all I care about. I just want to be an influencer.
Me too.
So these would be brands that they have invented.
Right. So it's really fascinating when you dig into it. I mean, Amazon has, and again, we don't realize this, but they've been incubating their own fashion brands internally. They have more than 60 of them today that sell everything from, leggings like Lululemon or, suits for men. And so this is something that it's evident they're working toward. Out of all of their private labels, actually, the majority of them, they do devote toward apparel. So they're definitely, Jeff Bezos and his team are committing money toward that.
How is the competition fighting back? I'll ask both of you.
Sure. I think it's interesting to look at both Walmart and Target, arguably the 2 biggest competitors to Amazon today in this space. They've both incubated brands on their own. Walmart has, Target has as well. Walmart's also gone the approach of outright acquiring smaller apparel companies. So ModCloth, Bonobos, Eloquii.
I bought some Bonobos shorts over the weekend.
But did you know Walmart owns Bonobos?
I had it in the back. I bought them at Nordstrom, but I had it in the back of my mind that this was. I thought this was a Walmart brand.
It is. So
and
I think they try to keep that separate for good reason.
I think they do. They don't advertise that.
Exactly.
So what are the competition doing?
What's funny? I'll bring up another point. Is sometimes the competition, if you can't beat them, join them, right? So Levi's sells directly on Amazon, for instance. They're a first-party vendor, so they want to make sure that if consumers start to get used to the idea of buying Amazon-branded apparel, or say, hey, I'll go to Amazon to buy some jeans, that their product is at least in the consideration set. So I think that's important to consider too. A lot of these companies are trying to decide, look, maybe Amazon isn't purely a competitor. Maybe it's a space I need to play in as well and put my products there as a first-party vendor.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Lauren, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, still ahead, the NIH reports that 37% of 12th graders vaped last year, and that number is rising. The CEO of Juul Labs gives his response to the parents of kids addicted to juuling. as part of CNBC's latest documentary, Vaporize. That's coming up. And later, Peter Thiel is the co-founder of one of Silicon Valley's most secretive companies, Palantir. But now he is taking aim at another tech giant's work, why he is calling for a federal investigation of Google. Exchange will be right back. Welcome back to the Exchange, everybody. Here's some of the movers this hour. A number of food stocks hitting all-time highs today. They include Starbucks, Darden Restaurants, and Yum Brands, as you see them all moving up higher. All three are up more than 20% so far this year. Plus, shares of Slack are higher after being rated overweight in new coverage at Barclays. The firm is bullish on revenue growth prospects, despite what it calls a demanding valuation for Slack. And shares of Gilead and Galapagos in the green after Gilead said it would invest $5.1 billion to increase its stake in that Dutch biotech firm. Galapagos up more than 17% on the day. Now to Contessa Brewer for a CNBC News update. Hi, Contessa.
Hi there, Tyler. Here's what's happening this hour. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responding to President Trump's view of America after he targeted her and congressional allies in a series of tweets yesterday. He said they should go back to the places they came from.
Fortunate the way he feels about immigrants, naturalized citizens or not in this country. But I think what I would tell him is that it's time to move on from him, and it's time to move on from his conception of an America that we have tried to move past for a long time.
Closing arguments underway in Oklahoma's case against Johnson & Johnson and its alleged role in the opioid crisis. Attorneys for the company say it acted responsibly. The case is the first of its kind. It could be a barometer for other states facing similar opioid crises. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam visited police officers injured in Sunday night's clashes. She described the protesters as rioters and thanked the Hong Kong police force, which she says was in the front line to safeguard law and order. That's your CNBC News update this hour. I'll send it back to you, Tyler.
Contessa, thank you very much. Here's what's coming up on the Exchange.
Ahead, Democrats may be preparing to prevent big tech from launching currencies. Citi says Tiffany's sparkle this year can't last. San Francisco wants an extra CEO tax and paying with an implant. It's all ahead in Rapid Fire.
Welcome back to the Exchange. Let's catch you up on a few stories that should be on your radar. Time for Rapid Fire. Here with their takes are Robert Frank, Seema Modi, Dom Chu. Topic number one, Democratic lawmakers reportedly drafting a bill barring big tech firms from offering digital currencies or financial services of any kind. Reuters says the bill is aimed at companies that feature an online platform along with annual revenue of at least $25 billion. That would seem to apply, among others, to Facebook, which just announced plans to launch its digital coin Libra next year. What would this do, Dom? Isn't PayPal a technology company? Isn't it big? Isn't it in financial services?
It is, but it doesn't meet, say, all of the criteria that some of these proposed pieces of legislation are going to lay out there. What they're going to do is target this specifically at mega cap technology companies who have some kind of a presence other than, or their primary business is not financial services. So you're talking about social media, you're talking about internet, you're talking about communication services. PayPal is one of those companies that's certainly in the mix and conversation there, but it's not necessarily a social media company that may fit the parameters, at least in the proposed early stages of what's going on. But I would say this.
Why should the government be making these kinds of, you can't go into this business
Well, that's
decisions?
my point. Look, it's a draft of a proposal that's up for discussion. So it's not even a bill. So we don't know really how much seriousness. And my view is this is really the Lobbyist Full Employment Act to get all the lobbyists back in D.C. But there was no purpose to it. What is, other than government to say, to your point, you can't do this. There's no explanation on why or what good it would do. or what the alternative solution would be to the problem that you're allegedly trying to solve with this legislation. So I just don't see a why.
They're worried about these tech companies having too much control. It was interesting during the interview I had with Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss last Wednesday, where they said that it's not just Facebook, but they see other tech companies like Google, Amazon, among others, unveiling their own digital currencies over the next 2 years. So clearly, according to this bill, they're taking aim at not just Facebook, but others.
But I can see why the government cares about new currencies over which they would have no control. The means of exchange in a society, the means of exchange in commerce, the concern about money laundering and illegal use of currencies. I can see a government interest there. I find it much harder to see a government interest in enjoining, say, Google from offering other kinds of financial services.
Sure, I think anything
trading
that disrupts
or research.
Anything that disrupts or competes with the U.S. dollar or any other reserve currency. I mean,
I get that.
Issue
But to your point, it's true. Is the government in the business of legislating what companies should or should not do as a part of their business lines? And that's going to be the key here.
Where does Apple Pay fit into this? It's basically preventing them from doing any kind of e-payment system, right? We have, China has exploded with the WeChat payment system. E-money has worked out well. Where does Apple Pay fit into this? How are they excluded? So I just don't see what the problem is they're trying to solve.
All right, let's move on to the next one, which is Tiffany shares. They are down today. Downgrade at Citi, the firm cutting the stock to neutral from buy, lowering its price target to $15, by $15 to $100. The firm says there is risk in Tiffany's second half turnaround plan and sees no reason to believe that Chinese tourism is going to snap back. The company recently slashed its full-year profit outlook. I'm tired of talking about this. Let's move on. What do we think?
Yeah,
I mean, this is an old story.
It is, and people are looking at it in outdated terms. So, in other words, yes, we know that China tourism to the U.S. is slowing. We know that the visitors by China in those stores is slowing. That is not the new model for the Chinese luxury consumer. Right now, China has basically outlawed the ability of Chinese to go and buy luxury goods overseas. So everyone's building stores in China. China has radically reduced the tariffs that luxury companies have to pay to sell in China. Tiffany has 35 stores in China. The problem, the reason—
How are they doing?
They're doing okay in China. The problem there is the brand recognition and status is not what it is at LVMH and Kering, some of these other companies. The problem they're having is that China slapped a tariff on Tiffany, but not the other luxury goods dealers like from Europe, jewelers, etc., because it's a U.S.-China thing.
I wonder why. I was going to say.
I don't think it's not a broader China tourism weakness story. That's not that was the old model of doing business. Now it's about selling in China, where they have a good store network, but they're hurt by these tariffs. 25% on Tiffany jewelry.
The Chinese
in China
have also cracked down on the Daigou market, Tyler.
Right.
That's these personal shoppers that the Chinese wealthy employ. So basically, if you're rich and you're in China, you send this personal shopper to London, to Dubai, and Paris to buy all these expensive goods like a Gucci watch and Hermes jacket, and you bring them back into China. But the government didn't like that model, so they've been cracking down on the Daigou market. They're trying to incentivize the Chinese shopper, as Robert just said, to buy those products inside the country. They don't want them buying it outside and then bringing them back in.
All right, so I'm going to say this. This is not going to be a Tiffany hit job here, because I'm going to take the other side of that. They talked about the negative aspects of it. The one thing those Citi analysts did point out is that from a brand perspective, maybe not in China per se, but overall, that the company has positioned themselves from a brand perspective to capitalize longer term. So management has situated the company where Tiffany will be a longer term success story, just not the risk reward valuation metric that it is right now in that axiom. That's going to be the big key here. So from a brand perspective, it may not have that luster as LVMH or the Kering brands or anything like, any of the fancy ones, but still, it's good. It's still good.
Let's move on. San Francisco introducing a new tax aimed right at CEOs' wallets, and just a year after the largest tax increase in the city's history. Robert, what are they proposing? They're proposing if you are the CEO of a company and your pay is what?
100 times the median earnings of your San Francisco employees. So not your overall workforce, but your San Francisco employees, which does something interesting here. It means that companies like McDonald's, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, some of the retailers, Abercrombie and Fitch, they will be subject to the tax because they've got highly paid CEOs, but you've got tellers, clerks, salespeople making low wages in San Francisco who won't be hit by the tax are the people the San Francisco politicians are allegedly blaming for the problem, which are the tech companies. And the reason why is those workers in San Francisco
get paid a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but what if the CEO doesn't live in San Francisco?
Doesn't
matter.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, is this strong enough of a bill for these companies to move out of San Francisco, or are we not there yet?
well, it won't mean they move out. What it might mean is they either have, it's a small amount of money. It's like 0.1% to 0.6% of their gross receipts, so their total sales in San Francisco.
Right.
So it for most companies, it's a fairly small check to write to tax authorities. It's very symbolic, so I don't think it's going to, but it is interesting that it's taxing companies based on what the CEO, who doesn't even live there, makes relative to the overall workforce.
They're taxing the company or the CEO personally?
The company, they're taxing companies' sales in San Francisco.
Oh, the sales in San
Portion of
Francisco.
their business that's actually done in San Francisco is what's subject to all of this rigmarole at this point. But I mean, again, it's kind of like the original Facebook, legislation trying to target these companies. They're tailoring legislation specifically at a very, very specific part.
And if they use the phrase CEO, I'm changing my title from CEO to managing director.
There you go.
Yeah. Say, I'm not the CEO, I'm king. What do you mean?
They want to use these funds towards mental health programs, so I guess there's a silver lining here.
Yeah, if it works.
All right, let's talk about, we've heard all about Beyond Meat. A group of scientists now claim they have perfected the perfect cup of coffee simply by ditching the beans. The team at Atomo Coffee, I think I pronounced that right, say they have reverse engineered coffee beans to produce the world's first, quote, molecular coffee featuring the same caffeine. Dom was here, we talked about that. We need the caffeine,
right
the same color and aroma without the bitterness or acidity of a typical brew. They were also motivated to find a sustainable alternative to bean farming. The coffee will be available to consumers by the end of this year. Are you a big coffee drinker?
I'm a huge coffee drinker. I took a red eye last night from San Francisco, got in at 5 a.m., in here, ready to go. I live by coffee. Why change it if it's not? If it's not.
Would you have concerns about drinking something that was wholly?
Well, here's the thing.
Genetically engineered. I don't know whether that's the right phrase.
I'm sort of a coffee snob, so I already buy coffee that is at the higher end. So I'm not really concerned about having a bitter taste. That's not a concern.
But there's
because your coffee isn't bitter.
But there's a controversy around people don't want to eat GMO products.
No,
right?
Yeah,
and so when you say they're going to forget about genetically modify, you're just going to physically create like you were out of nothing molecularly. I don't know if people want to go and do that kind of thing. Plus, if you're talking about sustainability, there are so many efforts right now with coffee that you can take the grounds, you can take that kind of thing, compost them, recycle them. So if it's the growing conditions or the fair trade policies, maybe that's big, but I'm not sure how much of the target market for coffee drinkers that is.
That's the point. Whether it's meatless meat, milkless milk, coffeeless coffee, we know what's not in it. We don't really know what's in it.
Yeah.
And when they describe what's in this coffee, I have no idea what they're talking about. Compounds that are found in foods.
Yeah.
Okay, that narrows it down.
Yeah.
I don't carbon based. I think it should be, right? All life on Earth is carbon.
I'd give it a try. I mean, at the very least, did I ever tell you this? I have not gone a day without having a cup of caffeinated coffee since I was in second grade.
Oh my God, second grade.
I remember sitting at a tray table in my parents' house on North Randolph Street in Arlington, watching Captain Kangaroo and having a cup of coffee.
Well, that explains all your cat.
All right, finally, it sounds like something straight out of the Twilight Zone. Thousands of people in Sweden are reportedly having microchips implanted in their skin to eliminate the need to carry items like cash or credit cards. A chip about the size of a grain of rice costs about $180 to have it implanted. And it's not just for payments. The chips also store emergency contacts, medical data, even social media profiles for networking opportunities. Apparently, the demand is so high that the country's leading chipping company can't keep
So
up.
we're becoming a human credit card, a human password.
We are a device.
But the security concerns really are up there. I mean, can you imagine if now a criminal doesn't want your purse, they want your finger?
They just get near you with a scanner and scan your thumb.
It's a very particular country. All the cell phone records and numbers are publicly available. You can call the tax authorities and get anyone's salary in Sweden. So it's a small country. There's a huge amount of trust in institutions. I don't think you could apply this to many other countries.
All I would say is many viewers out there know that I have 2 dogs. Both of my dogs are chipped. So it sure seems like we're moving that way.
But is your daughter tracked?
My daughter is not chipped yet. I will not chip my daughter.
Okay,
but both of my dogs are chipped. And it kind of feels like it was a safety thing for them, but I'm not sure if they want tracking for human beings out there.
Well,
I would wonder what you would do if you changed your credit card or your information. How would you update it on the brain of
They'll take it out.
So it's wireless.
Well, I don't want that, sir.
Put your hand up on a pad and it just changes.
Oh, it changes it right in there. All right. That was fun. That works. Thank you very much. Good to be with all three of you. All right, we have a news alert for you. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin will give an on-camera briefing at 2 p.m. Eastern time today on cryptocurrencies, which we were just talking about. We will bring that to you live. Plus, Morgan Stanley says there's $1 trillion market out there that many investors are missing. Details on how Morgan is willing and working to open investors' eyes. Let's get a quick check on the markets for you, shall we? The Dow is lower right now, but by ever so slightly, an amount there, 0.08%, so you really can't live on that. 22 points lower. Also lower, the NASDAQ, and, the NASDAQ is higher by 0.05%, and the S&P down roughly percentage-wise as the Dow. Now, taking a look at the biggest sector laggards today. Let's look at laggards. They are energy, financials, and industrials, all with fractional declines. Meantime, Morgan Stanley is looking to capitalize on what it calls a $1 trillion blind spot for investors, multicultural and women-owned businesses. These companies, on average, raise 80% less capital than businesses overall. So what will it take to change that funding landscape? Let's bring in Carla Harris. She's a vice chairman of Morgan Stanley and head of the Multicultural Client Strategy Group. Carla, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So what have you all done at Morgan Stanley? You have like a kind of, this is year 3 of kind of an incubator program?
That's exactly right. We call it an accelerator, regular way accelerator, like those that exist in the market. But we focus specifically on multicultural and women entrepreneurs. And we give them 3 things. We give them cash, we give them content, a 6-month program with excellent content, where we actually leverage the in-house expertise of Morgan Stanley professionals, but also our external network. And then we also connect them to our investment banking, sales and training, and other clients that might help scale their business.
So you started with some 300 applicants and you winnow it down to 10, into which Morgan Stanley puts its own skin.
That's exactly right. And that's what's significant, the fact that we've never had a supply issue. If you talk to people today about why don't you invest more with women, why don't you invest more with multicultural entrepreneurs, the first response you get is, I can't find it, and how big is that market? Well, let me say it again clearly. There is not a supply issue. We've had
no trouble at all getting lots of companies to actually apply and then choosing only 10.
So a lot of these here are companies that are small now. They're growing. They're not companies we would have maybe heard of. A lot of them are software companies. Some of them are medical related one way or another. But let me drill a little particularly on what a company has to show you to qualify as multicultural or women run. What does that mean?
Yes, so they either have to have a founder or someone in the C-suite, the CTO, CMO, but mainly the CTO or the founder has to be multicultural, so African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, American Indian, or it has to be a woman, or they could be both in this case. And they all have to be tech enabled, and there has to be proof of concept. So either they have revenue or they could be pre-revenue, but they have to show that there's some efficacy with respect to the product or the service that they're offering to the market.
So do you take an equity stake in these businesses?
Yes, which is common practice for all accelerators. Most accelerators take a single-digit percentage of the company, usually somewhere less than 10%, and in some cases less than 5%. And for us, it's generally less than 5%.
So there are 10 sort of finalists here that you'll be working with. I know you don't want to say exactly how much money you've put in, but is it roughly the same amount of money in each of the 10, or do some get a little more and some get a little less?
No, it's across the board the same amount that we put in all of the companies, and the percentage will depend on where they are with respect to their respective.
I think we know the answer, but I'm going to ask you directly: why has there been such a deficit in the funding sources for women-owned or multicultural run companies?
Yes, I think it's been widely reported on the fact that the VC community has been a tight-knit, closed community, and if you didn't grow up in it or you don't have specific ties to it, then you don't even get a look in most cases. And that's why it's been so difficult traditionally for both women and multicultural entrepreneurs to break into that and get access.
There are some companies, Uber among them, that have apparently tied executive bonuses to advancing multiculturalism in the executive ranks or in the employee ranks. I'm not going to ask you to comment specifically on what Uber has done, but as a general tool, can that be an effective way to bring more multiculturalism into the C-suite?
And what you're talking about is internal versus external, yes, right? So you're talking about tying the compensation to promoting multicultural folks within that organization. And you are right, that is one tool that a company could use. I mean, you would like it to be a part of the culture, as it is in some companies, but
and not have to incentivize it that way.
But you know what, the fact of the matter
is, if it works, it works.
If it's going to be helpful, absolutely use it as a tool.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right.
All right, go ahead. Despite Juul Labs' insistence its vaping products are for smokers who are trying to quit, teenagers are the biggest customers of the product. The CEO of Juul Labs will weigh in on that issue with our Carl Quintanilla next. Juul Labs, the maker of the popular Juul e-cigarette, is under increasing scrutiny from public health advocates, state governments, and Congress for business practices that put the company at the heart of the youth vaping storm. Carl Quintanilla pressed CEO Kevin Burns on the issue of teen addiction to juuling in a recent visit to a Juul factory. Carl.
AT, Kevin Burns is quick to say that Juuls are intended to help adult smokers switch to his tobacco-less product, but the Juul is the most popular vape among teens, and the FDA says its biggest demographic is millennials who never smoked. We asked Burns what his response is to parents whose children are addicted to Juuls. If we did this tour today with a parent, right, of a teen who'd been using or who had been addicted, how would you sort of defend all this scale, all this production, all this growth?
First of all, I tell them I'm sorry that their child's using the product. It's not intended for them. I hope there was nothing that we did that made it appealing to them. As a parent of a 16-year-old, I'm sorry for them, and I have empathy for them in terms of what the challenges are going through.
Burns hopes juuling turns out to be less risky than smoking, but admits there are real concerns about the impact of chronic vaping.
Frankly, we don't know today. We have not done the long-term longitudinal clinical testing that we need to do.
The FDA has not reviewed either the Juul or any other e-cigarette maker for that matter of the market, and the product's efficacy and long-term health effects are still unknown. To see what researchers told us about early studies of vaping, tune in tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific for Vaporized, America's e-cigarette addiction tea. It is just getting to be a bigger and bigger story all around the country, all around the world.
Yeah, it really is. I was just saying off camera, Carl, that my older son works for a vape juice selling company and takes it very personally that there has been such government uproar over who's using it. He says, we do not advertise to kids. We do not want kids to do it. But inevitably, underage minors are vaping.
It's a big argument, T. I mean, among manufacturers, there's a sense that teens are going to be teens. They're going to text and drive. They're going to try to sneak alcohol when they can. They used to smoke in the boys' room, as that song used to say, and they're going to vape. But if the category is really going to survive, they say, and help adult smokers quit, they got to get this thing under control, and I think that's a big reason why Juul talked to us.
All right, Carl Keaton, we'll be watching tonight. My son sure will. The special tonight, America's Vaping Addiction, right? Did I get the title right?
Right.
I got it. Thanks, Carl. Good to see you in the afternoon, my friend. All right, good. Tech titan Peter Thiel suggesting that Google be federally investigated. His accusations and whether his board seat at Facebook has anything to do with it. Next.
I noticed Mesopotamia had like symbols. What were those symbols? Were those symbols to represent like counting food and grain? What were they trying to do? Yeah. Well, that's why I need to take it. And I need to look at that's
Peter Thiel, a billionaire investor and co-founder of the data analytics firm Palantir, spoke at the National Conservatism Conference in Washington on Sunday. According to a report from the event by Axios, Thiel called out Google for, quote, seemingly treasonous activity. He spoke at the National Conservatism Conference in Washington on Sunday. According to a report from the event by Axios, Thiel called out Google for, quote, seemingly treasonous activity, accusing the search firm of working with the Chinese military and saying the company should be questioned by both the FBI. Google released a statement saying, quote, as we have said before, we do not work with the Chinese military. Let's bring in David McCabe. He reports on tech and policy for Axios. Is Google's response there, David, welcome first, is Google's response there a kind of non-response? In other words, they may not work directly for the Chinese military, but if you're working with the Chinese government or with Chinese companies, you may indirectly be benefiting the Chinese military.
Well, that's, I think, a great question. Obviously, they are flat out denying that they work with the Chinese military. There have been allegations of indirectly aiding the Chinese military. One thing that I think should also be pointed out here, though, is that Thiel made these allegations basically without any evidence as well. So whether or not Google's playing semantics, it's also important to note that Peter Thiel has not presented evidence for his argument, which was that senior management has been infiltrated by foreign intelligence services, by Chinese intelligence.
That was what he said in his statement. They have been infiltrated. He had three questions. How many foreign intelligence agencies have infiltrated your Manhattan Project for AI? How does Google senior management consider itself? Do they consider themselves to have been thoroughly infiltrated? And is it because they consider themselves to be so thoroughly infiltrated that they have engaged in seemingly treasonous decisions to work with the Chinese military and not with the U.S. military? He presented no evidence to support any of these claims, correct?
Well, it's true that Google has backed off some of its work with the U.S. military over employee concerns. But in terms of this question of foreign infiltration, which obviously is like a shock claim, he's making it in sort of the form of a question, but the insinuation is clear. He has not presented evidence to say, here's why I think that's true, besides his argument that their actions are sort of de facto support for that, which seems to be the premise of, again, these three questions he presented and said the FBI and the CIA should investigate.
He's the founder of Palantir. I assume he is still on the board of Palantir. Is he on the board of Facebook?
So this is a big component. Yes, he's still on the board of Facebook. Facebook, of course, is a competitor to Google. Itself has tried to get into China or looked at ways to get into the Chinese market. So yes, his context as a Facebook board member. Facebook has declined to comment on what he said last night, but certainly it's very clear context here in terms of his statement.
What does Palantir do, and what is its relationship with the U.S. government?
So Palantir is a data analytics company. They do corporate work, they do government work, and they do work government contracting with the U.S. government, I believe. Certainly, government contracting is a big part of their business.
So Thiel is a strong supporter of President Trump. How do we think the president would feel about what Mr. Thiel said?
Well, the president, of course, seems to think that it's a political winner for him to attack big tech. We saw the social media summit last week, which was saying, well, conservatives are being censored by these companies, Google included. He's also pretty aggressive towards China. So I think Thiel is sort of hitting both of those points. And he was speaking to a crowd that was supportive of the president, sort of politically aligned with the president. So it makes sense that he'd take this approach.
All right, David, thank you very much. David McCabe with Axios. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that does it for the exchange, and I am going to do what I normally do at this hour. I'm going to join Melissa in just a minute on Power Lunch, which begins right now. Melissa.
We will see you in just a minute, Tyler. I'm Melissa Lee. We begin this hour with breaking news. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin set to hold a news conference any moment at the White House about cryptocurrencies. We'll bring it to you live as soon as it begins. Meantime, Elon Moy joins us from Washington. with the latest. Elon, sort of a last-minute news conference, not too many details out so far.
That's right, Melissa. This is a little bit of a surprise, but Fed Chairman Jay Powell did say that this is an issue that FSOC intends to take up. So we'll see if the Secretary provides us any additional information there. We know that David Marcus, the head of Calibra for Facebook, will be testifying on Capitol Hill tomorrow. His testimony came out today in which he struck a very humble but sort of defensive tone and saying that Libra is not intended to be an investment vehicle. It's intended to be a payment vehicle, that the cryptocurrency will not be used for monetary policy, and sort of defending this as a way for Facebook to provide economic opportunity to its users. But of course, he is going to be facing a very hostile environment when he testifies tomorrow. And certainly we will see if that same tone is echoed by the Treasury Secretary when he speaks in just a few minutes.
And Elon, this is most notable because this comes just days after President Trump tweeted specifically about Libra as well as cryptocurrencies, and that could be construed. You know what? Stephen Mnuchin is approaching the podium. Let's go to him right now.
Recently, as you know, there's been a great deal of interest about digital assets, including cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Libra. There are many regulatory and supervisory questions regarding Libra, virtual assets, and virtual currencies, but I will focus primarily on the serious concerns the Treasury has regarding the growing misuse of virtual currencies by money launderers, terrorist financiers, and other bad players. This week, representatives of Facebook's Calibra project will go to Capitol Hill to discuss the proposal for a cryptocurrency, the Libra. At the Treasury Department, across the U.S. government, and with the international financial community, there's been a great deal of activity recently related to the regulation and the treatment of digital assets in cryptocurrencies. I'd like to give some brief explanatory remarks about what we've been doing on this front, since there's lots of interest, and then I will open it up to questions. Last month, the Libra Association, a consortium of 28 businesses, including a Facebook subsidiary, announced that it is developing a cryptocurrency called the Libra. The Treasury Department has expressed very serious concerns that Libra could be misused by money launderers and terrorist financiers. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin have been exploited to support billions of dollars of illicit activity like cybercrime, tax evasion, extortion, ransomware, illicit drugs, human trafficking. Many players have attempted to use cryptocurrencies to fund their malign behavior. This is indeed a national security issue. The United States has been at the forefront of regulating entities that provide cryptocurrency. We will not allow digital asset service providers to operate in the shadows and will not tolerate the use of the cryptocurrencies in support of illicit activities. Treasury has been very clear to Facebook, Bitcoin users, and other providers of digital financial services that they must implement the same anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism, known as AML-CFT, safeguards as traditional financial institutions. Money transmitters of cryptocurrency must comply with the relevant Bank Secrecy Act obligations, known as BSA, and register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN. Many people are not familiar with FinCEN. It is a bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury. FinCEN's mission is to safeguard the financial system from illicit use, combat money laundering, and promote national security through the dissemination of financial intelligence. Last year alone, it collected over 20 million BSA reports and has collected over 300 million in the last 11 years. FinCEN implements the Bank Secrecy Act's regulation and has federal regulatory, supervisory, and enforcement authority over money service businesses and banks. The rules governing money service providers apply to physical and electronic transactions alike. As money service businesses, cryptocurrency money transmitters are subject to compliance examinations, just like every other U.S. bank. To be clear, FinCEN will hold any entity that transacts in Bitcoin, Libra, or any other cryptocurrency to its highest standards. I also recently established the Financial Stability Oversight Council's Working Group on Digital Assets. This FSOC group enables U.S. financial regulators, such as FinCEN, the Fed, OCC, CFTC, CFPB, SEC, and other key stakeholders to work together to combat risks posed by cryptocurrencies. As the president has said, Bitcoin is highly volatile and based on thin air. We are concerned about the speculative nature of Bitcoin and will make sure that the U.S. financial system is protected from fraud. Given the international nature of cryptocurrencies, we are also going to great lengths to ensure that effective regulation does not stop here at the U.S. border. Last month, led by the United States, the Financial Action Task Force, known as FATF, the global standard setter for AML-CFT, adopted comprehensive measures on how countries must regulate and supervise activities and providers in this space. This was a major step towards harmonizing international regulations concerning cryptocurrencies. We have also had extensive work at the G20, and I will be addressing this again this week at the G7 finance ministers in France. To be clear, the U.S. welcomes responsible innovation, including new technologies that may improve the efficiency of the financial system and expand access to financial services. That being said, with respect to Facebook's Libra and other developments in cryptocurrencies, our overriding goal is to maintain the integrity of our financial system and protect it from abuse. Treasury takes very seriously the role of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency and will continue our efforts to protect our country and secure the U.S. and global financial systems. With that, I know there's been a lot of interest in this subject and perhaps a few others, so I'll take a few questions.
Sounds like they're scared of cryptocurrency, guys. We got the central bankers scared.
Last week, the FSOC would be meeting in the future to discuss Facebook's Libra product specifically.
They are literally scared, guys.
And then secondly, you talk about Facebook putting this product out. If Facebook is able to ultimately resolve all of your concerns about AML and other issues, do you want Facebook to be in the business of issuing cryptocurrencies?
So let me make the first comment, which is either at the principals level or at the deputies level, we've had multiple meetings across the regulators with representatives of Facebook and expressed our concerns. We've also had multiple meetings of the FSOC working group. I think, Jay Powell and I meet weekly, and we've talked about this extensively. So there are these discussions going on. They will continue to go on. Again, to the extent that Facebook can do this correctly and can have a payment system, correctly with proper AML, that's fine. They got a lot of work to do to convince us to get to that place.
Yeah, it sounds like they're very scared of crypto. Not just the Facebook thing.
Well, why don't I do this? I'm sure there's a lot of interest in that as well. But why don't I take a bunch of cryptocurrency questions?
See, you see what he's doing? He's trying to divert it back to the cryptocurrency reality to kind of affect the Bitcoin reality. These people are such puppets and such scared behind, markets of opportunity.
What is your level of concern with Facebook having Libra?
Well, yeah, I would just say we obviously have concerns with the privacy issues. There's been items in the press about potential settlements. I'm not going to comment on that. But obviously, the regulators, and one of the regulators, as I've said, most people haven't heard on FinCEN. So one of the reasons I wanted to explain this is whether they're banks or whether they're non-banks, they're under the same regulatory environment for FinCEN, and we will hold them accountable. And they're going to have to convince us of very high standards before they have access to the U.S. financial system.
Mr. Secretary, at the social media summit last week, the president essentially accused the social media giants of an animus against conservatives. Can you assure the markets and everyone watching that whatever action this government will take is not a result of the president's view that these social media giants are biased against it?
Well, again, what I will tell you is the president does have concerns as it relates to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And those are legitimate concerns that we've been working on for a long period of time. But no, we're not going to target any one entity. Everybody's playing by the same rules. Again, whether you walk into a money service provider or whether you walk into a bank or you do it digitally, you're going to have to adhere to the same rules.
Secretary, considering that Bitcoin is decentralized, what do you tell Americans who want to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies?
Well, I tell them to be careful. Okay, they should be clear why they're investing in them. There's a lot of good things to invest in. Obviously, we know about. But our number one issue is that one, we don't want bad actors using cryptocurrencies. That's our number one issue. I think to a large extent, these cryptocurrencies have been dominated by illicit activities and speculation. We'll make sure that the general public and investors understand what they're investing in, and whether it's the SEC or other regulators, there's proper disclosures.
That you're comfortable with Facebook launching the currency if they do it the right way.
I didn't say I was comfortable with them launching a currency.
If they launched it in the appropriate and in a safe way in terms of...
I'm not comfortable today. So let me just be careful. As I said, they and others have a lot of work to do before they get us comfortable.
Do you have a sense of the timeline there? Is Facebook being candid with the administration about it? How many years are we
I think they're being very candid with the administration and where they are. I'm not going to publicly speculate how long I think it will take them to get to the point where we're comfortable with it, but they are a long way away from. And again, part of it, there's been a lot of public interest in this. That's why I wanted to give the public the assurance, but before they or anyone else does this, that we're going to make sure the financial system is protected. And as I said, there's a lot of illicit activity that will be shutting down for people who are using cryptocurrencies for bad purposes.
Secretary, can you give a sense about how those discussions are going with your counterparts from other G20 countries on this particular area?
I would say there's enormous agreement on this. As I said, I was in Orlando, I think it was 2 weeks ago. The U.S. just finished the presidency of FATF. I gave the keynote address there. That was adopted. I mean, that is the largest organization, much bigger than the G20, and is kind of the gold standard of AML. And those rules were adapted. And at the G20 and the G7, we have absolute general agreement that in the U.S., if you deal with the U.S. financial system, you have to adhere to the same rules. And that's something that the rest of the G20 is very focused on.
You said you'd take questions on a number of subjects, so I'll ask on that.
I'm first going to finish the cryptocurrencies. We'll spend anything else. We'll come back to it.
So you said that Treasury is concerned about bad actors using cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, which has become very popular among white nationalist groups. What sort of actions is Treasury taking to stop these bad actors from using these decentralized cryptocurrencies? And I have a follow-up, sir.
As it relates to any specific group, I'm not going to comment on any specific group, but what I will tell you is that FinCEN has multiple investigations going on. There have been enforcement actions. There will be more enforcement actions. We're going to beef up our resources for regulatory oversight. This is something we're absolutely focused on and on top of.
While you have me ask other
questions. We're going to give everybody one question. Thank you.
What specifically, language-wise, are you looking for out of the G7 finance ministers meeting on it? And are you confident that you'll get a statement that
I'd say, again, my understanding is that, there'll be a chairman's report. There won't necessarily be a communique in general, but I leave that to the French. I will say we have working groups at the G7 and G20. This has been in the G20 notifications. I think, we got a lot of interest in the digital tax. We're focusing on the international tax issue, but this will definitely be high on our discussion. issue.
Yeah, Secretary, back in March, Treasury imposed restrictions or sanctions on the Venezuelan cryptocurrency, the petro, and our understanding is that the Venezuelan regime is still trying to keep it afloat. Can you give us an update on the results that you've gotten from those restrictions and whether or not you have any knowledge that the Venezuelan regime is trying to keep
I'm not aware of anybody who's really using that, or it's taken off, or had any success whatsoever.
how the restrictions work?
Absolutely.
Secretary, aren't you afraid of painting everybody with the same brush? You know, you have some of the cryptocurrencies have been going to CFTC, they've been going with the IMF and Lagarde.
That's it, Bitcoin. Keep going higher. When they try to go low, you go high. That's it. That's it.
Matter of fact, as I said, one of the reasons why
you may sell out later, but right now you're going up.
There's been lots of activity that's been
the
going on.
Sentiment of decentralized people to say something like that, and whether it'll make them more emboldened to want to counter any kind of talking points or rhetoric that's coming out of the White House and the central bankers. That's basically they're coming to a consensus that they have an issue. The fact that cryptocurrency is getting a lot of more adoption value, and people are starting to implement it into their businesses. They're actually scared of that. Yeah, I spoke about that earlier too. Maybe a week or so ago, I spoke extensively about how they're getting a little bit more frigid in terms of the central bankers, especially after Jerome Powell came out to actually acknowledge crypto as a store of value, like that of gold, and they overtake gold. So the central bankers, the IMF, all the different places, institutions like that, they are, as much as they feel like they act like they want to adopt it, they're just as much scared now because it can begin to take off a lot faster than they ever thought it could do.
And go on the dark web and think you're not going to get caught.
So this is Trump's so-called way of trying to establish another argument, talking point, to get the cameras on him. Right? That's all this is. Now, if they have legitimate complaints about, Grant, Facebook, then so be it. But they have no space in the crypto lane to be talking anything about regulations or illicit activities, when we know the central bankers' fiat currency is the ultimate tool for money laundering and everything, this, that, and the third, and they do it every day through the bank. So they can miss us with that foolishness, right?
And there's been a lot of financial.
We're the educated folks. We're not the sheep.
Banks for electronic payment systems. Lots of people use electronic payment systems in dollars very effectively. And we'll continue to support those activities. We want technology to evolve.
Yes. Do you believe that the rise in Bitcoin value was fueled by fraud? Have you seen evidence of that?
I'm not going to speculate. I have no idea why Bitcoin trades where it is. I'm not commenting with a high or a low. Again, I'm here to talk about the regulatory environment. And
let's go Bitcoin. Keep going higher. We're already up by an extra couple $100. Near $300 actually, because it got down like 340 something, 350 something. Now we're up to 653. Keep pumping Bitcoin. That's what I'm talking about. Get behind it, global. The global crew getting behind Bitcoin right now. Push it, baby. Push it.
I don't find them racist. The president.
This stuff's exciting, guys. You know how I am.
His comments, I think
I guess I'm the constant kind of
we're focused on cryptocurrencies, and then I'll do some debt ceiling.
The follower of reality in terms of how we dictate our. There we go. Over 10.7. Let's go Bitcoin. Up already about $400 off this old speech.
Because he had suggested that redesign was done out of pure political correctness. They had suggested she should be on a less popular bill.
Okay, well, I'll take it. We're now going to switch off of cryptocurrency to some other things.
See, you keep trying to go back to cryptocurrency. You can tell this is a scripted. There you go. There we go, baby. And my alert going on. And my alert's going on. That's what I'm talking about. Get this money, baby. Hey, y'all already know your brother was buying in on that dip around that 9.8 level. I bought a little bit the other day and scalped it. Took the break, got back out, got back in at the low.
Changing the currency is.
Man, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go Bitcoin.
And if you look at the $100 bill.
He just gave us publicity. Thank you very much, Stephen Mnuchin. Thank you, Donald Trump. Peter Navarro, Lighthouse, all you guys. Thank y'all very much. Thank you, central bankers, because y'all scared. We appreciate you for the free publicity on a national level like this.
Some of these are physical things that you can see, like when you look at the $100 bill and you see the thread. There are security features that you can't see, okay? There are security features that are limited to the government being able to see. So we don't advertise what all the security features are. But these are very complex things that once they're developed, then require different machinery to
Let's go Bitcoin.
Manufacturing process.
Talk about it.
So the new currency is not going to come out for a long period of time. When people talked about the design, and again, the design starts with the security features, okay? There were some preliminary art, what I would call artwork in that design. And again, even in the most optimistic scenario of me staying through the president's second term, I'm not staying past the president's second term. This currency isn't going to come out. So this is not a political issue. And again, we're happy to come out.
Back from Harry Tubman. You say it's not a political issue, but with everything, all the controversy swirling right now as it relates to race and things that have happened before, is this an issue of race?
No. And matter of fact, okay, we're going to do more research.
Here we go with this talking point.
Done at Treasury.
Here they go with the talking point.
At some point, we will be having to look at when we have the currency, and at that appropriate time, we'll address the thing.
You hope that the president can talk about the economy at the NAACP convention, which he was invited to come and speak to?
Again, I'm not aware of whether he's going to that or not, but I always like him to talk about the economy because the economy is doing fabulous. It's the bright spot of growth, and I'll be very proud.
He's doing fabulous, but y'all screaming for a rate cut. Y'all double-tongued, bunch of infidels and charlatans. That's right, light him up. He thought he was going to come in there and talk about crypto to bash that, and also to bash Facebook. Light him up.
Topics. I've already answered my one comment on this. I think I was very clear on this.
Light him up. A different question.
Again, I think my answer is the same.
That you're not concerned. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'd like you to speak to it directly.
Again, what I've already said is, I think the president clarified his comment. I understand what the president's comment is. I'm not concerned by the president's comment. And again, that's the last comment I'm going to make on this issue. We have other important things to talk about.
No, you don't. Light him up. Light him up, guys.
Are you planning to raise the debt ceiling? When? And will that take place before the government runs out?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Now we're on a very important issue, the debt ceiling.
Look at him deflecting the filibuster.
I can't raise the debt ceiling. It's Congress's job to raise the debt ceiling. What I have said, and given the importance of this, we run multiple scenarios of how we predict the government's cash flow. I think hopefully everybody would agree that to the extent we want to limit spending, Congress has the right to limit spending. But once we agree to spend money, we have to pay for it, and the credit of the United States government is the utmost importance. So the debt ceiling has to be raised. One of our scenarios triggers a problem the first week of September before they get back. So I have urged Congress to raise it before they leave.
Let's go Bitcoin. Let's go, baby.
Again, that's not an issue until the end of September, and I have no expectation that there'll be a government shutdown whatsoever.
To follow up on the issue of the debt ceiling, is a short-term extension, if you're unable to get a longer-term deal that would pump until October, is that on the table? And can you describe the nature of your negotiations with Speaker Pelosi on this issue? Reportedly, you guys had that phone conversation on Saturday night.
The Speaker and I have been speaking regularly. I think we've had very productive discussions. I also spoke to Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy and others over the weekend. I've been working very closely with Mick and Russ, and I've had daily conversations with the president. I met with the president this morning. We updated him. I expect to speak to the speaker again later today. I think there is a preference on both parties to the extent we can agree on the debt ceiling and a budget deal, that is the first choice, and I think we're getting closer. I would just comment that, the president very much cares about the VA. I'm just commenting in regards to the speaker's comment. The military versus the defense versus non-defense tends at times to be viewed as a Republican versus Democrat issue. It's not. Let me be clear. The Republicans all care very much about non-defense as well, and we will make sure that there's enough money to support the military and what we need to do in the military, the VA, and everyone else.
Oh boy, sounds like a whole lot of rhetoric again. Good at that.
The president just now said he's not concerned that white nationalists find common cause.
I'm not answering more of these questions.
Jewish Americans, do you have any concern serving in an administration with which white nationalists seem to find common cause and under a president who routinely
go and ask them hard questions. Put them under the hot seat.
To be honest with you, I find that question disrespectful to me as Secretary of the Treasury. I'm here talking about issues that are in my domain. I've answered a bunch of your questions on this. I am also on my way to DOJ to give a speech on anti-Semitism. Okay, so again, I'm happy now to turn to people who want to talk about the debt ceiling and budget.
Okay, you can speak for anti-Semitic values, but you can't speak for the value of white nationalists. I mean, you guys, these people are just full of mess. That's why I laugh at people when they get all, emotional about their little political pandemonium that they follow these people. Like, who follows? Like, seriously.
As possible, and that's why
be your own man, be your own woman.
Speaking to the speaker and others, and again, let me just say this
follow
is a team effort. Although
reality and results.
Negotiating with the speaker, I'm doing that at the direction of the president, and he's taking input from a lot of people. I think we're very close to a deal, but as you know, these deals are complicated. There's the top line number. We want to do a 2-year deal. There's typically offsets.
That's it, Bitcoin. Let's go, baby. These deals. Up 10.8 right now. Up about $500 already up in those feet. Appreciate you. Thank you, Steve Mnuchin.
An agreement quickly, but having said that,
$500 pump on Bitcoin. Let's go, baby. Facebook might be stuttering right now. That's fine. I don't care about Facebook, but let's go, Bitcoin.
Ambassador Lighthizer and I have had several conversations on China with our counterparts. We expect to have another principal level call this week, and to the extent we make significant progress, I think there's a good chance we'll go there later.
Just to be very clear, when do you expect the debt limit to be raised on time?
Of course, I expect the debt ceiling to be raised on time because I would say both parties, there's no uncertainty that neither party nor anybody wants to put the credit risk of the United States government at risk. So yes, I expect that the debt ceiling will be raised. And by the way, the speaker has said that, Mitch McConnell has said that, everybody presents.
Thank you very much. I wondered if you could address, how does the president feel about trade talks at this point? And could you also tell us how he's feeling specifically about the job that his Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross is doing? Has he talked to you about that at all?
I have every reason to think Secretary Ross is doing a good job. I've never heard anything otherwise. Secretary Ross has been an important part of the trade team. Again, this has been an integrated team, and I think the president is very pleased on trade. I would say, last pitch for the speaker and others, we'd like to see USMCA. It's a very important economic package, and I'm hopeful. I know Ambassador Lighthizer is working with leadership on that.
We've been listening to Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin in his press conference that was called just about an hour ago. It was a half-hour press conference focused on the Treasury's concern regarding cryptocurrency and Facebook's Libra, concerned about the volatility, but also its use, crypto's use in illegal activities. He also underscored the point that institutions dealing in cryptocurrency would need to register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and be subject to all of the standards that financial institutions are subject to right now when it comes to anti-money laundering as well as know your customer provisions. On the CNBC Newsline to discuss this is Brian Kelly, founder of Brian Kelly Capital. BK, great to have you with us.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks, Melissa.
Did anything jump out at you that would indicate that the administration could be turning up the heat on crypto?
No, I think his comments were relatively measured, and frankly, from my perspective, having more clarity on regulation is probably a good thing in the long run here. There are a lot of legitimate players in the cryptocurrency space that would like to have the bad actors cleaned up. So I think in that sense, very fair, very measured comments. What they're dealing with, and every regulator is dealing with, is that this is a global asset subject to local regulation. So it's great that they're getting together with the G7 and the G20 to talk about this.
Yeah, what was interesting is that he was talking about Libra and Facebook specifically at points, and he said that Facebook has met with a lot of regulators, that Treasury currently, as it stands, is still concerned about the issuance of Libra. Regulators can regulate Facebook and the consortium as issuers of Libra, but when it comes to applying those same standards to Bitcoin, they can't, can they?
Well, yeah, right. In terms of the issuing of the currency, there is no issuer, right? There's nobody like Facebook in that. But what they can do is use the AML, anti-money laundering, and know your customer rules to make sure that the currency itself, whoever's using it, are actually passing those things. So, Bitcoin's out there. There is nobody who has issued Bitcoin. It is a software program that spits out 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So it is very different than Libra in that sense. You're right.
So did you hear him at least conceptually embrace the idea that cryptocurrencies have a role to play in the global economy, provided they're subject to the kinds of regulations that he wants, including Facebook? He said he wasn't comfortable with where they are right now, but it sounded as though, given the right sets of parameters, he could get comfortable with Libra.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd go so far as to say it was that he embraced the role of Bitcoin.
I don't know what he was listening to.
I heard was that the United States, and rightfully so, does not want to stifle any innovation. That payment systems, and that's really what Libra is. Libra is much more of a payment system.
Right. They have a problem with Libra because it's challenging the central bankers from a very regulated perspective. And I spoke about that extensively. That's the whole issue with Libra, and why central bankers are scared of that, because Mark Zuckerberg has more of a fan base, follower base, than what the central bankers could ever have. Facebook is pretty much in every country or continent on this planet.
Now let's get to Elon Moy.
So he has way more reach than a central bank could ever have.
Before David Marcus, the head of Calibra, heads to the Hill.
That's right, Melissa. And I was scouring through the prepared remarks that he intends to present on the Hill. And here's the relevant line. It seems that Facebook was prepared for this line of criticism. He says the Libra Association is committed to supporting efforts by regulators, central banks, and lawmakers to ensure that Libra contributes to the fight against money laundering, terrorism, financing, and more, and kind of points the finger at cash transactions as being a place where a lot of illicit activity happens. So this is clearly a line of attack that Facebook has been prepping for. They intend to push back against the concerns raised by the Treasury Secretary.
Let's go Bitcoin. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's how you rally behind some rhetoric.
Well, it got a hold of some background documents that's been circulated amongst the Democrats.
Let's get back over 10, 11 to skip over 11,000 today. Let's go, baby.
They point out several national security concerns.
Make this scalp trade worth it.
Including how you identify
that bottom up round 9-8.
Is building that particular
take advantage of some of that.
Standards would apply in the case of this new type of currency, and how the association would manage issues like sanctions, stolen asset recovery, tax collection, additional crimes. There is also an effort underway amongst House Democrats led by House Financial Chairwoman Maxine Waters to ensure that companies like Facebook do not issue any currencies. There's a discussion draft of a bill that's out there that would prohibit them from doing so. So a lot of tough questions on this issue of national security that lawmakers will bring to the fore over the next 2 days, guys.
All right, Elon, thank you very much. Elon Moy in Washington. Let's go to Julia Borston, who has a response now from Facebook.
That's right, Tyler. I reached out to Facebook as Secretary Mnuchin was making his comments that were so critical of Libra and Facebook's role with the cryptocurrency. Facebook telling me that they anticipated critical feedback from regulators, central banks, and lawmakers around the world. And that is why they announced Libra a year out from its anticipated creation so that they could have those conversations. Facebook also directing me to David Marcus, who runs Calibra, Facebook's cryptocurrency arm, into his Facebook post on July 3rd, in which he really stresses the fact that they are open to feedback from a range of different players on this, and also that Facebook is not running the Libra currency. It is just one of 28 organizations currently involved. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Julia, thank you. Julia Borson in Los Angeles with Facebook's response. Joining us now is Brent Hill. He covers Facebook at
They can have all the Facebook all they want. They can beat up Facebook, drop the price.
He is
I care
negative
less
on
about
Libra.
Facebook.
Is it because it's thrusting the company right back into the political spotlight, and it seems like there is bipartisan support to rein this effort in?
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, I think short term we're negative. We don't believe it's going to achieve what the bulls think out of the gate. We're positive on Facebook for the core advertising business. We did survey 600 social media users on Libra. 80% said they have no interest. So out of the gate, you have a big pushback from U.S. Consumers. We think this will have a bigger impact globally in Asia and in Europe. And again, you're talking a year out before it's launched, then you're talking the typical 20-year in arrears tech view. It takes 2 to 3 years for new technology to catch on. So you're talking 2022, 2023, before this is going to have an impact. So we're positive long term. Just short term, I think everyone's got a little too carried away with what this will mean.
That's pretty staggering, Brian. Did you say 80% of U.S. users have no interest?
Because we surveyed, 80% in the U.S. Now, that's what we would expect.
That's because they don't like Facebook.
Linked to your Instagram account.
Because Facebook has a
so
bad
we would expect
history
that. I think in developing
of
countries,
selling people's information and their data.
The microtransactions.
No one don't. I mean, they don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. Like, who want to trust Mark Zuckerberg with their information?
But right now in the U.S., you have these services already in place.
But just to push back, Brian, I mean, isn't that the point of Libra? In the less banked countries of the world, that's where Facebook's growth could be in terms of users. And in the U.S., there's a plateau.
That's where we're going to see that. And what this does is gives Facebook better engagement on their platform. So if you're paying for a service, someone does something for you, you go to the platform, you see their page, you get engaged. We think that will help the overall usage of the core Facebook platform. So there's a great there's a great outcome if this actually works well for engagement. But right now, again, we're still a long ways out.
In the tweet that President Trump made last week, he said that if Facebook wanted to do this, perhaps they needed a banking charter. If Facebook had to do that, do you think Facebook would go down that road? If they did go down that road, would that make you negative on this stock?
We're not negative on Libra. We think it's just there's no real assumption.
No, but if they had to get a banking charter in order to issue,
then it would potentially cost more money. You could look at the margin structure. Maybe this costs more than they think. But again, I think we're still a long ways away. It's notable that many of the banks didn't participate in the round, and so I think again we're still in the real early innings of this. And again, I still think we're 3 years away before we're going to have an impact.
All right, Brent, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Brent Fell. Let's get to Eamon Javers at the White House. Secretary Mnuchin.
Thank you for that free publicity for Bitcoin. Thank you.
Eamon.
Yeah, that's right, Melissa. The Treasury Secretary there suggesting that Treasury's team has looked at this debt ceiling issue and they think that it's going to come to a head, possibly under one scenario, by the end of September. That means they need a political deal with Democrats. He said he's been talking to Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. He's been talking to his team internally, and he called those conversations productive. But he also said they're not there yet. He says he thinks they're going to get a debt ceiling deal, ultimately that will involve some budget compromise as well. But they don't have it in hand yet. He'd like to get it done as soon as possible. He said the debt ceiling needs to be raised. But boy, did the Treasury Secretary get a reminder here of the political context that this White House finds itself in today, when the president has held a press conference here at the White House, angrily rebutting his critics who say that his tweets over the weekend were flat out racist. The Treasury Secretary was asked about that a number of times and seemed really uncomfortable with those questions, did not want to deal with them, suggested that he did not find the president's tweets to be racist, and also said ultimately that he supports the president, he supports the president's explanation
of he does.
Of his tweets.
You know, maggots hang with maggots. No disrespect to anybody that likes Trump for whatever reason. Again, I'm not a personality worshiper. I don't feel less about any man because I'm my own man. But from a place of leadership, he has some very, very ignorant and insidious commentary when he's trying to so-called galvanize people, so to speak. He says a lot of, off the beaten path kind of thing. Again, you can say what he wants. if people still going to vote for him, that's fine and dandy. But when it comes to commentary like that, when you got women coming after you, not so much, the male aspect of these different, people who are dealing with this, that's a firestorm he don't want to deal with. He might have gotten away with making that old, speech a while back when he said, African countries are, crap old countries, whatever. It was more of a blanket statement. Well, you dealing strictly, with women, quote unquote, women of color. That's a road I don't think he want to go down because sisters, they fight back like none other, and ain't nothing worse than a woman scoring. I got some worse, better than that. Ain't nothing worse than a black woman that's scoring, or even maybe a Latino woman, whatever. Because I don't know if he want that wildcat on his back. They will scratch all the hair plugs out his head and weigh him out. Because we'll see how that turns out. Though I just leave it at that. we will leave it at that. But yeah, very insensitive and obviously denoting a very disrespectful value of what he was trying to, I guess, present under that Twitter tweet that he put out. I mean, again, people are gonna see that instantly. It was racist. It was obviously, he pours it as a way of it being like an innuendo value of racism. I mean, that's how he is. Come on, he has a history of saying stuff like that. It goes all the way back to Central Park 5. He has a history of mislabeling people and saying all kinds of slick stuff when it comes to people, who obviously don't share the same ethnic background he does. So he a coward. And he's weak because of that. He gets to use the platform as a president to say those kind of things. He's a coward. It's the same guy that was talking about grabbing even white women, by their crotch. I don't, whatever. I want what I want. I just go grab them by the crotch. Like this is the kind of, reality that people voted for. They voted for what they consider to be a hard line, misogynistic, pseudo, politician, very, I would say, closet racist values and some of his terminology and talking point. I mean, he's the ultimate consummate of what, this whole benign neglect, hide it in plain sight kind of value what people wanted in a guy like him as being president. But again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to follow my opinion. Again, I'm not a political person to that perspective. I follow politics very much so, but I don't ascribe to any kind of value of American politics.
And more on the rise. With us now to discuss is Spencer Levy.
We're more about financial freedom over here.
Great to have you with us.
Right? We're going to write our own way of destiny.
No surprise.
Write our own value so we can live comfortably.
And
not be dependent upon a government policy or talking point to control our very, existence as men and women.
Well,
that's what financial freedom is all about.
The scarcity of labor overall, and even greater scarcity of labor when you get into the high skills.
You got you kind of money. You guys know what I'm saying? And that's what life is all about. When you're not, get tethered to some, person or policy.
Simply to capture that
in a way where it controls your life.
Another level of concentration in some of these emerging markets like Tucson and other markets that have large universities to both create the talent and create a live, work, play environment where they want to live.
Let's go Bitcoin.
What level of office is moving to these smaller cities?
Almost near what? Close about $600 off this little press release. We appreciate you. Thank you, Steve Mnuchin.
That's going to these smaller cities.
Nice little 500 plus push off that press release.
Office from a major tech firm, but very often what you're seeing is some firms that aren't
directly my scalp great again. That's what he did. Just make my scalp play real great again.
Those are some of the firms
right at 9,800 level.
Scalp. So like a Caterpillar moving to Tucson, Arizona would be a good example of that. But other companies are moving to these markets, not just as headquarters, but secondary markets. But you're seeing a whole growth of innovation. So an example would be Chicago, which has seen over 300 new companies formed in the last couple of years because it's such a great environment for these new tech firms.
Are you seeing any erosion in San Francisco's position at #1, given some of the policies the city has sought to pursue? For instance, the proposed tax on very highly paid CEOs. Is that causing companies to rethink San Francisco as the top place?
I think it's fair to say that San Francisco, Seattle, New York, DC are doing just fine. While their growth may have slowed a bit, they are still growing and they still have the deepest concentration of talent anywhere. And they also have great infrastructure and other forms of virtuous cycles that have people wanting to live there. So the big markets aren't going anywhere. But I think the real question here is that the smaller markets have better momentum in terms of coming up to them because people see the cost of San Francisco. They see the scarcity of labor in markets like New York and in Seattle. So it is not that these markets are going down, is that the smaller markets are growing faster.
So CBRE is a commercial real estate company. So connect the dots for us, Spencer. When you're doing this study and you're finding that Tucson, Long Island, Orlando, they're the next hot places, how does that reflect in leasing rates, in what they lease for, in the demand?
Sure. Well, you'll see in some of these newer markets like Madison, Wisconsin, you're seeing unprecedented low vacancy rates in the 5 to 6% range. You're also seeing in some of these hotter growth markets, Orange County has seen rents go up almost 50% in the last couple of years. But maybe one of the hottest markets of all is Cambridge, Massachusetts, which may be the single best submarket in the United States, and that's biotech in addition to other forms of tech. So you're clearly seeing it show up not only in office vacancy, office rents, but you're obviously seeing it as well in multifamily.
Let's go Bitcoin. Let's go, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Incredibly expensive.
Push high. Let's go, baby.
Criteria for people moving to a different market is determining what is not only their cost of labor, but what is their labor's cost of living.
Yep. Spencer, thank you. Fascinating study. Spencer Levy of CBRE. Up next, CNBC's special report, Vaporize, an in-depth look into America's e-cigarette addiction. Power Lunch, be right back.
What a run. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome, nice little move here. Again, off that press release that really set the the bulls in motion here, especially around a good pivot point around that 10.4 level of Bitcoin at the bottom out around that 9.8 and change area, which we saw as a major level of support. It basically had to hold it, to be honest, or it would have been very ugly for Bitcoin. So again, this press release couldn't have been no better, to fuel those bulls or those undecided people who were sitting on the sideline to get back in. Barring the fact they were already in earlier, kind of rolled it up, near that 14 grand, took a little profit, watched it turn sideways, as you can see here on the chart, kind of stay within this nice little trend, still kind of somewhat in my linear regression band. You can see the top level, the purple, and the bottom here, the little orange kind of color here, it's crimson color, whatever. We're still sitting pretty good here. These are considered to be the blow-off top of the linear regression band. I was in the same thing here on the blow-off bottom value a little bit here, just a little bit, another way it kind of came underneath, but it still got back above it, the bottom essence of the band here. And now we're just testing to get back above the 50-day moving average here, which is the red line here, which will show more strength that we can get some more buyers to come in. But again, we could have asked for a better catalyst today with the White House, Steve Mnuchin, and those guys coming out here, speaking in essence, trying to cripple, Facebook more or less than anybody, but also still trying to talk down on Bitcoin after, the president put out that, that incendiary commentary he put out last week, Friday, trying to talk trash about Bitcoin, right? So again, hey, central bankers, give us your best shot. What else y'all got? Again, you're not going to stop this train, and that's, it's pretty much started at this point. It's on the track, it's no more just sitting in a little, back at the depot somewhere. We're on the tracks now, and we're full of steam, regardless of this nice little accumulation consolidation area after topping out around close to 14 grand. We're still ahead of schedule here. If you follow the movement of Bitcoin here, I spoke again extensively about, if you guys are long-term invested in for whatever reason, whatever, you see here, again, we were down here buying in at $3,100 level, $3,200 level, right? When I was telling people emphatically that this is our bottom support here, again, I got, several lines here, obviously showing the values, the diagram, but once it hit this level here, I say, hey, here's our bottom. So here's our projected bottom here around 3,200, and we've been good ever since. You know, some guys bought in around that area, you know, off that little opinion piece, and look where they're at today. Again, I know everybody has to make their own, you know, decision in the end, but ultimately that served us well. And as you can see, these lines I have going back, you know, obviously, you know, for years now, whatever. But when I drew these lines here, you know, this was in respect to background, you know, November, December area, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, we started to get some movement here. You know, we started to get some action here.
Using the same
right?
research about
You know, in terms of, you know, December area is definitely. And here we go. You know, we are currently at 10-4. Just give me 10-4, 10-8, and we still look good.
As a healthier
I mean, that's a great looking chart. The other thing you have right here is just a consolidation. Obviously, you got somewhat of a double top, you know, around this 13-1, 13-2 area, you know, but ultimately, the chart is still bullish on the year. Look at this area here. Case in point.
Obviously,
you know, you had a nice little, kind of mash up here. You know, you had a nice little pullback, roll up, cut that area out pretty well here. You have some sellers coming in, buyers coming right behind it, push back up, hit a level of resistance, kind of stall, went sideways, pull back ever so slightly, got back up, tested again, pulled back. Buyers came in because they wanted a little cheaper. Look at the RSI here, and guess what? Ran the price up higher than 14 grand. So if you look at the chart here, are we not looking like the same thing here? Pull back, see right here, this area here, pull back. What do you got right here? Pull back. You know, hit a depth of low right here, around 9697. Right, scalped around this area Sunday actually.
We don't know what the long-term effects of vaping are going to be.
Yeah, Sunday, I think Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Looking at us in the United States and thinking, why are you guys looking this gift horse?
Got the push, got back above around 12, you know, right around about 11.2, somewhere around there, 11.3 and change. Right, took a little bit, you know, rolled out, you know, let it come back down again. I mean, this is just going beautiful. Actually, it's over here. I'm to that wrong chart. This is the daily chart. But basically, it made out to be a great little day trade within this day trade value, day trade counting, excuse me.
They're going to go to
and so we're looking like the same chart, you know, that we got back into the consolidation period right here to a degree.
That's amazing, down to zero.
You know,
Carl, thank you. Fascinating.
This is what we've been training and obviously assessing day to day in terms of the potential movement we can get out of this. You know, given the fact that we stay diligent. You know, you can scalp it too because I scalp it and I got long two accounts and I also got a scalp account.
All right, check out
See, I got my Bitfinex account here, right, with the leverage account, and I use Coinbase as well. You know, also in terms of scalping and also long-term values as well. So again, just make sure a very, very great, you know, great way to kind of corner this opportunity and see what we can get from it. But as of now, we're winning bigly. Again, I mean, I got positions in still from way back, you know, when I was telling everybody about it in 2017, you know, we was down into that 1900 area, about $2,000, you know, somewhere in the area when Bitcoin was trading at that point or near that multiple. You know, we've been looking good ever since. You know, we've been looking good ever since. So, you know, this is when I kind of came into the market around this point right here. That's when I drew my first little bar concerning Bitcoin. You know, when I got, you know, adamant about it and, you know, got fired up about it around the June of 2017. And we knew what happened at that point. So it was lights out all the way up to like, you know, 20 grand. And, you know, to this day, I still feel it. You can see my old little chart icons that I was, you know, drawing on my way up here, you know, to this blow top area up here. So again, it's been a, you know, great journey. It's been a great journey. And so, you know, today we're right back in a position here where we're getting ready to kind of test, you know, some new all-time highs. Again, I was calling for 20,000 for Bitcoin possibly around September timeframe. Right? A lot of people that I know were saying, "No, we're gonna hit 20,000 before you know July's over with." You know, hey, so be it. But you know, from a place of just being responsible and understanding in my charting, you know, I'm not, you know, at liberty to go that far and say we're going to hit 20,000 for July. I see 20,000 somewhere again around, you know, September, that time frame, me personally. And what made me take that kind of mindset is look at my chart here, right? Look at my linear regression band here, right? Look where we're at here in terms of September time frame. That's when we actually get a chance to peak into that $20,000 price range. As long as we keep the volume that we've been getting, as long as we keep the kind of, you know, ebb and flow that we're getting out of the chart, from a place of movement and consolidation, accumulation of people coming in, watching out all the weekends, I see 20,000 around September. You know, so that's, again, I'm charting responsibly here and not getting caught up in all the FOMO and the hype, right? And that's when you see this level of what? Divergence value here within September, where we hit that 20 grand potentially. You know, we keep the trajectory we're going now and probably can exceed that, right? So people ask me why, you know, what made me come up with that 20,000 by September? Well, here you go. Among other things too, right? But
numbers are in for the new casino in
from an
Baltimore.
admin perspective, I can short you guys. This is exactly why I said around, you know, September time, we possibly can get around 20 grand for, you know, area, and you know, see if we kind of break out from there. Right. So again, but that's just your brother Emporium. Again, that's just my opinion.
It brought in
That's Cat, what you want to say? That's just where I get my hair done.
Only $3 million shy of what MGM Springfield did all month long.
Right, so let me stop screaming over this CNBC. Sorry about that, guys. All right, but that's it, guys. So that's pretty much, you know, where I'm at in terms of that. I just want to share that a little bit with you guys. As you can see here, we're looking very nicely here again on Bitcoin off that little, again, you know, news release or press conference, excuse me, by Stephen Mnuchin, obviously, you know, regurgitating the talking points that President Trump sitting them out there to kind of say, right? Go out there and tell him what I say. Yes, sir, boss. And so he just went out there and did that, and it didn't do him no good in terms of trying to potentially deflate the price of Bitcoin. And that's to kind of get it to drop from this level around that 10 grand area, because we know that it's very critical that we hold that support line around 9897, right? We have to hold that line to stay in this kind of, you know, comfortable channel here to kind of, you know, push higher, right? Anything below that, well, that could be very problematic, right? We're not looking for that, you know, test of the, you know, 200-day moving average here, because that's basically what can happen if we lose the 97, 9800 level. We'll easily probably test the 200-day moving average at that point, you know, around 7,000, 7,100, whatever around there. All right. So again, you know, outside of that, we look good. Again, there we go. We just broke over 10.9. We just broke over 10.9 here, guys. Again, adding nice fuel to Bitcoin here off that press conference. Again, we can't ask for nothing better here. I mean, this is really, really made for a great catalyst. And, you know, it seems like the bulls won't higher. Look at this volume bar here, guys. I mean, it's been steadily growing ever since the guy came on and started talking. I've been sitting here watching it just go up, you know, higher and higher. This volume bar here on the daily here. And this is the daily chart I have up here. And so now we're over 10.9 and we're looking good. And so again, my little scalp, you know, play that I bought, you know, to kind of scalp Bitcoin off of, day traded, so to speak, around 9, it was around about 989, somewhere around there, 99. You know, that trade is looking really good. You're talking about over $1,000 value, 1,000-point value in that little bit of time. So again, that's why I'm kind of excited, you know, because I'm sitting there like, man, you know, when I saw and heard that they was going to have this press conference about Bitcoin, I said, oh, this could either be, you know, the kick the can down the road scenario, or to completely crush the can for a moment to get us to break that, you know, that $9,800, you know, support level in there. Here we, you know, this just made it much more sweeter for us. That's kicking the can down the road in a good way, because we need to prolong the bulls staying hungry, wash out all the weekends, so we can keep pushing this thing higher. You know, so this is really good. You know, and so, you know, we're already up again around about $700 off that press release. A quick, nice little $700 push, literally in a roughly about near hour, to be exact. You know, close about an hour. If you know, if that, this thing is already up 1,000 points. Now, when we're talking about opportunity and investments, this is what we live for. I mean, just imagine, you know, the amount of money, you know, again, for a person who understands what we do and see the opportunity in this, you know, to have that kind of leverage that just can benefit off that move. Again, somebody got a leverage account, like my Big Finesse account, a leverage account. You know, you come in with 10x leverage or somewhere around there, 100x, whatever, varying leverage here, you already up. Let's say you know, leverage that out, you know, times 10, right? So you're talking about, you know, roughly about 100,000 value, you know, somewhere around there, give or take. You know, again, look where you're at now. In a matter of less than 40 minutes, you know, it produced over, you know, 700-point basic value on a 10x leverage value account in that scalp alone. You know, so you done made. I mean, guys, y'all get it. I mean, I'm, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you know, Again, this is what we go hard for, guys. This is exactly what we go hard for. This is exactly what we go hard for. You know, so man, it's exciting. It's exciting. Right, so we just hit power hour here in the market, guys. It is officially 3 o'clock. It is power hour. Right, the market probably should be going crazy at this point. We got some, let me see what's happening over here on my scanner here. All right, so yeah, let me I was eating my lunch early. That's why I was kind of trying to be a little quiet, but it was getting exciting. I didn't want to be rude. I had my little lunch, naked lunch, my little veggie bowl, right? All right, so let me get over here. 1 second. All right, let me switch this over here. What's going on? Let's see what's happening here. So again, like I was speaking about earlier too, we do have earnings coming up for JB Hunt tonight, which is going to be the one that everybody's watching, only because it's a very good indicator of what the transport sectors look like from as far as trailer trucks are concerned in terms of that industry. It being one of the leading industry leaders in that perspective here. Just watching it here. As a matter of fact, I'll just share my screen here again. 1 second here. Again, I do appreciate you guys hanging out with your brother African Emporium here on this day. Again, I know I didn't get a chance to really get out there and share this, live stream, throughout a lot of different, handles that I hang out in, only because I was very busy. So if you guys did get a chance to kind of get whipped up, I do appreciate you guys again for hanging out with me while we build here on the back end of the day. Very humble. I see some of I just get a chance to kind of see what's going on here in the back chat. So forgive me if I'm just not seeing it, guys. Probably I see a lot of family that came in. I see my family again overseas in the house. My family over Brandon in the house. Good to see you guys. My family Rakim 777 in the house. Good to see you, family. I see my family over Gordon. Over Gordon in the house. Good to see you, family. My family Don Riviera in the house. Good to see you, family. My family T-Bone 21. Good to see you, bro. Mr. JR8, Power and Profit, salute. I see the Overstock God came through. What's going on, family? Good to see you, man. Power and Profit to the family, right? Go subscribe to that brother channel. You already know I'm gonna say that out the gate, right? Very, very, hardcore, technical trader to the umpteenth degree. That's the one you want to follow when it comes to understanding how to deal with the market, from all different angles. Brother been in the game now going on a couple years here. And just tearing it up. What else can I say? We kind of came to this game, when it comes to intraday trading around the same time. And, it's been nothing but lights out for, for all of us, since we've, been able to grow respectively in our lane. And, man, can't say enough about seeing, that brother continues to grow and what he's doing. And everybody else, too. I mean, all you guys, are just as, relevant in our reality because, again, it's a team effort. As I always say, Ubuntu, I am because we are. We're peers at this. There's no one better, no one less than. We stand side by side. It's us against the market, and I have it no better, no other way, because that makes for great again, think tanking, and that we get a chance to share different ideas with one another, so we're gonna end up with the bag when it's all said and done. All right. So again, peace, power, profit to my brother Stock God in the house. When you see that SG, that's my brother Stock God there. All right. So I got my fella Ben Fall in the house. All right. I got the over Chris Woods in the house. Good to see you, over Power and Profit. See, I know you tearing it up on the forex market. Right, loving your crypto trades going on too right now, right? That's what I'm talking about, getting to the bag, right? So this is real nice here, very, very nice here, guys. Just being able to kind of watch the market in real time and see, the value that there's money being made, based on, the idea that we can, analyze the data, look at the chart, find these different little opportunities where it can be very useful, and then capitalize on it, right? So we have that flexibility and opportunity that like a lot of people don't have, because they're waiting, for somebody to kind of cut them the check. No disrespect to that, but we're free world thinkers. We like to move in essence where we're trying to be the boss of our own reality. And financial freedom is something that we hold very near and dear to us. If not, we wouldn't be on this live stream listening and watching and trying to learn stuff when it comes to investing and trading, because we do see it as a vehicle to getting to that point of point of comfort or success where we feel comfortable in our own right, not based upon somebody else's definition of success, but how we value and see success and how our families will benefit from it. And so that's why we do what we do. We are the radicals. We are the renegades. We are the game changers. We are the Anarchy 99. we're all that. You know, we got people that question us every single day. Man, what y'all doing with this investing stuff? What's this all about? You know, you're making any money? You know, are you gambling? Whatever. They have no clue, right? Because see, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And every time that we submit ourselves to learn this, you know, learn anything about it day over day, well, it's only going to strengthen us. We're only going to get better just by proxy of being around it, right? And others who trade and train in it, right? So again, we like to see this as, again, an opportunity of a lifetime because it's not going anywhere, number one. So it's not like some lottery system. And then number two, we're thinking about our future generations, right? See, you can pass down, right, you know, your shares, you know, of your stock to your children, your heirs when you leave here, right? You can't pass down a broom. You can't pass down a cooking pot. You can't pass down an old scratch-off ticket that you had, that you made money on and you spent it up, right? So that stuff don't carry no appreciation, right? But this skill set, it carries appreciation. It carries value. It carries weight. You're talking about giving somebody the gift of financial freedom in essence, where you're training and teaching them how to use this tool, you know, respective to their reality and how they want to see it in their future. So it's a no-brainer. So again, share it with your family, share it with your friends, get those involved who want it. Again, you don't have to beat a dead horse. If they're just not ready, they're just not ready. But as long as you stay diligent, you know, and you know, stay studied up, then you're only going to grow from this, right? You're only going to get better. And that's just the facts. You know, no matter how you people look at it and how they're going to critique you and what even some of your peers even may say, that's fine. Again, stay the course. You're going to benefit from it a lot more than you can even imagine. All right. When you get, you know, 4 or 5 years in the game, you know, and you looking back like, man, okay, you know, where I'm off to this week, you know, what I want to do this week. When you kind of living on your terms, which some of you guys are already doing, it's just going to be that much sweeter. And so that's why I love it too, because again, you know, you get to define this reality on your terms. See, I can't sell you nothing because I don't own this, right? I don't own the stock market, right? So that's what I love about it. Somebody can kind of sit there and, you know, try to push you into something that they got, that they feel excited about, and that's fine. But when it comes to the stock market, it's every man for himself reality, right? And so again, when we wake up in the morning and cut on our little computers and tablets and open our cell phones up, we see the same charts that Warren Buffett sees, or Paul Tudor Jones, right? These people who are great, you know, traders out there, you know, and so to us, it's like, okay, it's even playing field. The only difference is they have more money and time in the game than us. That's about it. You know, a couple of inside friends here and there, that's fine. But ultimately, if we put in the work, we can be just as thorough and find ways to get to the bag the same way, you know, they may be getting billions. Well, guess what? We may be getting into 5 digits, right? We may be getting into 4 digits. And that's still power to us because, again, realistically, if you can make, you know, over $200 a day in the stock market, you know, hey, you win it, right? You're talking about supplemental income that could turn to primary at some point. And so roughly just $200 a day, right? We talking about well over what, right? You see where I'm going with that, right? There's 252 days out the year that we get to trade the market. 252 days that we get to trade intraday in the stock market. And if you can make $100 a day, just $100 a day, well, how much is that at the end of the year from an annual perspective, right? You're talking about a little bit over what, you know, $24,000, right? Granted, you know, give or take, you do the fees and all that kind of stuff. Now, if you can double that, make $200 a day, and keep in mind, you don't have to do it every single day. We're just saying out of a week's time perspective, if you can get up to, you know, roughly about, you know, $1,000 a week in the stock market, you can do that all in one day, right? It could be, you know, in a matter of 2 days, 3 days. So you don't even have to trade every day. But as long as you can get to a point where you can find out, you know, find your way into making $1,000 every week, well, you're talking about what? You know, you couple that with, you know, the vision value of 252 days in the week perspective, then, I mean, you're talking roughly, you know, some nice money there, right? You're talking some nice money there, right? That's some nice money, right? And so, again, that's why this stuff is exciting in that perspective in terms of being able to kind of eclipse that value, break it in half off. You talk about roughly about, you know, little over $50,000, $60,000, you know, in profit. You know, when you go above that, then y'all, it's endless. You see what I'm saying? It's endless, right? It's an endless reality, right? So again, it's exciting, guys. That's why I say, man, bro, I mean, sisters, everybody pay attention and watch, these opportunities, coming to fruition. We are in a unique space where a lot of people who would dare not even touch it because they are so intimidated by the opportunity. But they have no clue, they have no idea just how, great this could be. So y'all get it, right? I don't need to beat a dead horse. I mean, you guys get it. That's why, again, we are in our respective places, watching, learning, studying, etc., etc. Right. But again, I just wanted to kind of speak that into fruition because I know you guys go hard. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, you guys are go-getters, all right, so to speak. So that's it. So real quick, let me run over here while we do have a little time here in relation to, it's power hour. This time you want to be focused on your trades. So if you do got trades out there, by all means, don't let me distract you from them because it is the time you need to be focused here, going into the close a little bit. But in relation to some of those stocks we spoke about, in terms of we got earnings tonight, we're very, very, keen on some of them. So JB Hunt again is going to be one that we're definitely going to be watching. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up here. 1 second, guys. All right. So we got let me go to Earning Whisper here. All right, again, so Earning Whisper, right? One of the tools I use. So after hours today, again, we got JB Hunt. And this is not all the stocks out there. There's others too, but these are the ones that's most notable. I guess most notable. Right? You got some more bank companies or financial site stocks that are out there. Being that Citi, gave their earnings report earlier today in the pre-market session. Right, so you got FSBS and WTFC, whatever, financial groups, whatever, bank shares, and then you got JB Hunt, right? And so again, just kind of going off the idea that the transport sector has been on a lot of fire lately. It just as a whole because of tariffs and all this, that, and the third. If you look where JB Hunt has came from, roughly over the past, I would say, since around July of last year. Around the same time last year. So we're talking about the 52-week chart here. That's what we always kind of base our charting aspect off of 52-week chart, 3-month chart, 6-month chart, whatever. It's traded up here pretty nice above the 125, 130 level, right? And since then has pulled back significantly, off that kind of, changing of the guard, tariff becoming an issue, hurting the economy level, right? They can't ship goods if companies ain't really ordering a lot of product because they hurt because of tariff. It's a domino effect, right? Everybody has to pay this, their part, so everybody can make money. When you talk about logistics and shipping and things of that nature. So JB Hunt has been in a lot of trouble since then. Now, getting to this point here where it seems to be kind of hanging around this $90 level, right? This little point of, if you guys can see my screen here, I can blow it up obviously, but I'll just kind of do this here for now. I'll use the little, the little Earning Whisper kind of reality here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It looks like it's kind of, back at a point of heavy, support resistance, being, like a nice little fulcrum point, right? A nice little point where, we're going to pivot one way or the other, either to the upside or the downside, right? So, hanging around this $90 handle here, looking at the chart here, I mean, you see this pattern here, after it's seen broke, it keeps, going up a little bit, breaking down, going up a little bit, breaking down, going up a little bit, breaking down. Well, what do you see right here, right? You see that kind of same kind of trend value pattern recognition where it's it's struggling to kind of get to a point where it can just break out from a clean perspective. Because again, if you look at it from this point here in July, after we had that December sell-off, you would think with that kind of nice little bullish post that they got from them pumping the market through the Dow, and them flooding the market with cash, kind of shoring up some stimulus here, got back above near 115, somewhere around there. On the chart here, 114, whatever, and pull back significantly again, as opposed to sitting in this point here and kind of staying within this channel, at least, above, let's say, 114, 113, to potential like 105, 108, in this area here. Well, it chose to sell off, right? So it has a problem with respecting and holding a nice channel at this point because it's hard to, again, establish some new buyers to come in and say, well, hey, I think we're at a point where we're going to have a flatlining, and breaking out and going back higher to test these old highs we had back in July of last year. And so you just been having a steady, constant breakdown of the chart, and you know, it don't lead me to feel any much more convicted to think that this is the time for it to break out and go in and higher. Now they could come out and surprise and beat the estimates. But looking at the fundamentals, because again, you have to be fundamentally sound as much as technical. There's a lot of things that surround this company that are still red flags, right? We talk about price valuations that's happening in the shipping industry now, where, you know, they have to raise their prices because they're not getting, you know, enough shipment values to kind of equal out and balance out their balance sheets. So that's a problem. When people go to raising prices, either two things are happening. They're growing at a point where so many people are in demand that you can raise the price because you have that level of demand where people are willing to pay a little extra for it, and you can help increase your margins because you have that kind of outlier product or service that, regardless of the value, people are going to pay an extra $2, $3, $5 on top of it. Or you can have a potential scenario where your goods and services are, you know, under the radar here, where you can't necessarily keep your book value balanced out properly in order to keep up with your competitors because the market is thinning out, or you may have a slowed down, perspective in your sector where it's hurting your books as well. So you have to raise your price value because of scarcity in terms of, you know, people looking for your services. So you have to say, well, hey, it's either, it's all we got. You know, it costs us a lot to kind of run these trucks today, so we got to charge a little extra. You know, so you kind of, in a bad position when you got to raise your price value because of that scenario. All right, so it may help you in a small term perspective to keep your lights on, but it doesn't help your overall value because now that gives people the opportunity to really go out there and shop for a cheaper shipping company if there are any of them out there, because of the fact that everybody's out there hurting. And so it doesn't look good from the book value, I guess what I'm saying, from the fundamental perspective. That means you're hurting for cash, and you need to kind of do what you need to do to keep the lights on, right? And so that's the part about JB Hunt that's very, very revealing, and that's that they're having a value of weakness in that perspective, right? That makes sense, right? I try to break it down the best way I can, make it put it in layman terms. And so there's weakness surrounding their guidance, the price point value, the chart showing you some weakness as well. Again, you see the nice little double bottom here on the recent value from, based around, in this, midpoint between June and July. Where we're at now from a monthly perspective, you had a nice little double bottom, nice little bounce from that, and now, it's showing to be hitting some resistance at this point right here, right? You look at this little point on my pointer here, it's hitting some resistance there, and necessarily can't break and go higher, right? To kind of really show that they're in the game, going to the earnings report where people might want to get behind it and push it higher. So again, you got a lot of things that happen right here on JB Hunt. If I could draw a line at that point, I could maybe show you there, but there's a lot of things happening with JB Hunt that shows me that, there's some trouble here going to the earnings report. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. All right. So again, that's what makes me feel a little, say, hey, this right here might be a nice little, potential play here. Again, follow your own direction. Obviously, take your own position based on you can. So I'm feeling bearish on it. Just me personally. Now I could be wrong. Obviously, you can't get them all right, but I'm feeling bearish on it. Okay? So it's one of the scenarios where they got to prove me wrong. Right. So for the average trader who may want to play a little bit of that, you might want to hedge it. You might want to strangle this thing, whatever. It depends on that. You want to sell a call or buy a put, whatever. Right, and just play the volatility. Right, who knows? But if we go to the matter of fact, let me see if I can go over to the options chart. You can see a little bit what's happening over here on my stocks, black box stock scanner here, and we can kind of see what the option market is looking at here. 1 second here. Come on, then. All right, let me see if I can find it. So I have to do the entire. I forgot because that's on. That's on my Microsoft. All right, so let me go here. So real quick here. All right, so if you look at the black box stock scanner here, this is pretty much, where everybody, this is pretty much the daily flow, right? When you say daily flow, these are the contracts that are coming in pretty much just on the day, right? So as the daily contracts are coming in for the interest value, again, you see obviously more puts than calls, obvious, right? But that don't necessarily mean a lot because you still have to factor in, what the overall sentiment was looking like over the past month in terms of contract. What's the open interest looking like for the calls and puts? if people loading up on the calls or they loading up on the puts. But on the daily, you got a lot of people buying, the puts going into earnings, right? Again, we're just talking about that $90 level where people are looking at it as a nice little strike point to kind of break that, break off and kind of test that, test that kind of, support level, right? And so again, you got some guys around here buying, $85 strike price, right? Somebody bought that around about 2 o'clock. They bought some, that's the old count. That's the daily flow. Excuse me, this is the daily flow. Around about 2 o'clock, somebody bought the 85 puts, 79,000 sweet price value, right? So you got some people that's coming in saying, well, hey, I think we might have some downside coming up here, roughly in the price point, right? In the chart value. All right. So again, what you have here is, the different sweeps people coming in and saying, well, I think this thing is going to go bearish here based upon the put volume. 85, another 85 strike price, around about 16,000 there. Then another one here, roughly about 30,000. But you got one guy trying to buy the calls here around $35,000 notional value, thinking that, he may get a bounce saying, hey, I think people just kind of double down too much. I think we're going to spike, in earnest. Who knows? But again, we know it to be what it is. It's always speculative. Now, you got some things that'll give you some indication, but we don't really know until they drop those numbers, right? We don't have insider information. It'd be nice, right? Pull a Martha Stewart, right? Now I'm saying don't go do that. Don't go do that, right? But either way, that's what we're getting. So now let's go look at the historical chart. Let's say from the month of April, right? Now that we're in the Q2 session of the fiscal year, let's see what the people from April to now are saying about, JB Hunt. So these people are saying, well, hey, I'm preparing, for the month of April, going into, around the middle of July, when we get ready to call earnings. And so what you have, and now some of these people probably close some of these trades off. Again, the expiration dates will tell you that. So, you got some people that are kind of in, they took position already unless they roll their position up, and that's fine. But anything above, 719, these are strike prices that are still what? In the game are still operable at this point, right? So you got a guy buying for the September puts here, the $95 strike price. Look at this notional value, $540,000 value. Oh, that's a block too. So that might have been, they might have got the bag on that and moved on. Some of them guys might be still leaving in that. Who knows, right? But that's a lot of money. You're talking about $250,000 there in that block value trade. You got another one here for like $14,000 for the $70 puts for September. So look at this. This is September the 16th, right? August. I'm talking about September. August the 16th here, roughly about a month out from this day. You got somebody thinking that this thing gonna be around $70 a share, right? It could easily drop that much, tonight, But even though the option market is only implying about a 5% move, it could easily get a little messy, either way, up or down. Who knows? But again, that's somebody saying they think this thing is going to come down to the transports look pretty messy right now, being the transport sector. All right. So another one here, you got a guy for November, way to November 15th, right? $85 puts, right? $164,000 trade value, notional value. All right. You got one guy got the $90 calls here for this week's expiration, around about $76,000 notional value. And then here we go, right? All these November trades where you got people coming in thinking long term, hitting up JB Hunt, thinking it's going to hang around this $85 level, over the next, about 4 or 5 months away from here, right? They're betting big that it's going to stay around that $85 channel, right? So you go look at the, let's say look at the 3 month, or look at the 6 month chart on JB Hunt. Again, what do you see here? All right, you see mad resistance around this point right here, roughly around this $92.70, $93 level. Right, mad kind of resistance at that point, right? Needing to break out, right? Almost a clean double bottom right here, around that $85 level. So that's why people keep buying the $85 strike price, right? Let me see if I can pull up a little thing here. Hold up. Hold up. Where's my? I got my. Okay. Okay, yeah, let me draw it. All right, so let me draw it here. Oh, I got this on here. That's probably why I wanted to do it. 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get a little pen up. Come on, thing. Don't act crazy. Oh, I forgot I said the two. My bad.
Google of Alphabet and Facebook. Is that still the case, or
Still pressing on it, ain't much moving. All right, so roughly around again, it's $93. It's pretty at 93.
Acceleration in advertising in both the second quarter and
come on, Dan. Why are you tripping? Okay.
I think it's a bit of a different animal though, where
I say I let you know I use black box. I must when it comes to this part at least. I always go to the tool I really need. But anyway, you guys see what I'm saying here. All right, let me undo all that. All right, you guys get the point what I'm trying to say. So roughly about $93 is a point of resistance on the stock. Just looking at how it's trading here. Roughly, again on the 6-month chart going into earnings here, right? So we'll see. Again, it's above the 50-day moving average here. You see this yellow line, that's fine. It's definitely above the 20-day moving average. But, it still has to prove itself, again, above that $93 level. It would have been nice if it got above, 95 going into earnings, because you would eclipse this major level of, major point of resistance here around 93. Right? Could easily get above 93 going into the close. Who knows? But, it's fighting for dear life to kind of hold the $85 level of support. And that's where it keeps from falling from so-called grace at this point. And so yeah, just look at the pattern. You see what's going on here. The same thing you've been seeing over, like I was showing you earlier. It's been breaking down, going up. Not necessarily channeling properly, staying above the 50-day moving average, even the 20, to a point where it consolidate. It's just been popping up, going down, just losing this trend. Consistently. Giving up the 20, giving up the 50-day moving average. Peeking back above it, standing, in between both of them, as you can see right here on this little point here, showed obviously exorbitant weakness there. Couldn't pierce above the 50-day moving average around that, $98 level. Broke down, came down again, tested the 85, bounced, ran bottom up, got back up, pushed again, got above the 20 moving average, trended here, hit some resistance, couldn't break above it, right back down. So again, it's been in the funk, but this candle here is mean. That's a mean candle right there, right? If you're looking at this thing, from the perspective of what we're looking at now, right? So, again, we'll see. As much as it took to build this candle up here, it can easily retrace all that back down, right? It can easily retrace that on the way back down, and testing this $87 level, right? So we'll see what happens here going into the earnings. But outside of that, again, you guys see what's going on there in terms of the put volume, right? You got a lot of people been betting very bearish on it on the back end in terms of the historical chart that's coming in on the asset. All right. Yeah, I just want to share that a little bit. Ain't nothing special outside of that. So again, this is what the market looking like so far on the daily scanner. Y'all saw the big winners of the day was definitely CAPR. It was up as high as around about 60% at some point of the day, earlier around about 12, somewhere around there. Big run on the day. Now it's kind of pulling back a little bit on the back end of the day. Just looking at the daily here. So definitely now it's starting to sell off. People that have taken their profit. Again, made a nice little run, coming off, Friday's swing price value. I think roughly around about $3 and somewhere like a share. Got up around, and tested, up here near $9 a share. And now it's kind of pulling off in the back end of the day, which is natural for these kind of small stocks like that. They're taking profit, right? It's time to take profit, right? It's time to kind of what they call, secure the bag, right? So you got people securing the bag, taking their profit, and now you're gonna have this pullback here, right? It may hit a point, kind of bounce out, bottom out. More buyers may come in, or some new buyers may come back in. Once they kind of get within this channel here around, $6 even, and possibly $5.50. We'll just say $5.50, right? So if you don't have anybody come in and try to, buy that demand zone, just looking at the daily chart, because it was back, back near that area before, between here, let's see, right between here, where was I at? Oh, here, excuse me, over here. So between $6 and somewhere around $6.25, $6.30 to roughly around $6 and $6 here. Another trend area between $6 and $5.50 right here. Then it's gonna be lights out, right? So this little area, right? Man, this thing is annoying. Sorry about that, guys. So this area between here and right here, that's a nice little channel, little demand zone for the data, because you can see it trend out in that zone for a good little while before it broke out in the after hour session, pre-market, wherever, and went higher. Right. So that's a critical level of support on the way back down. If you look at the price on the way back down, well, what do you see? Right? It's breaking down and going to test that zone level. If it can't hold there, it's going to be lights out. Right? It's going right back down from where it came from. Right? Which is obviously, we're talking about, way back down here near the $3 level where it came from. Right? So either way, people make good money on this trade. And more power to them if they was in, last week, Friday, around $3 and change. They're winning right now majorly. Right? They're eating very good right now. Especially if they took their profit, up near the high day. So yeah, so now just pulling back very ugly. So again, might have been a great short candidate. I don't know if it's tradable on TradeNet. I didn't even check, but at that point, I've been busy. Obviously handling things and running around with errands and whatnot. But I saw it earlier. I said, man, it's gonna make for a great trade later. For the short sale, because I know people gonna take profit. It's up over 164%. A $3 stock, people gonna take profit, right? Ain't nothing about this company that people are so excited about and want to hold it and test it, for another day potentially. Who knows? It could just off now and pick back up tomorrow, run again. But that's a great thing about trading. You get a chance to watch, rinse, repeat this stuff. So opportunity today can also be misery tomorrow, or opportunity today can also be leading to what? More opportunity tomorrow. Who knows? Right? Either way, we have to make sure we're on the right side of the trade and we're making good decisions, right? And so that's what you got with the stock pulling back on the back end of the day. This is natural profit taking, but big mover on the daily, nonetheless, right? So kudos to those traders who got in on that and made money off of it. All right, I saw it cutting up a little bit during the pre-market too. I said, okay, this is gonna be, I guess, a mover for the day, and it did what it did. It did what it needed to do. Right? But that's it. So again, I just want to share that a little bit with you guys. Again, we got roughly about 28 minutes here before the bell. I'm going to get ready to make sure I check my option plays that I got in play. Again, tomorrow, we also got some good earnings. Tomorrow, we got Domino's Pizza. We have, who else we got? Domino's Pizza. We have, Johnson & Johnson, another one that's in on the media spotlight for the talcum powder case dealing with a cancer case in terms of a court where someone sued them. Again, it's an old case they had that they settled. Another case came out again under the same reality that the talcum powder obviously caused, some people, they're finding trace amounts of cancer. It can cause values of cancer. Excuse me, let me say it that way. And so it's under fire again, basically what I'm saying. And that's never good going into an earnings report where people are saying, man, even if the number's somewhat okay, you have to really do really, really good to keep the pressure from the stock selling off, because of the fact that they don't know what the future gonna hold, uncertainty surrounding this whole, cancer scare reality. And so it's gonna make some of these little short-term day traders, or that was trading from the option perspective, become a little more skittish, and they may end up closing out their trade and maybe just take a little put position, or they even may strangle the thing or straddle it. Who knows? To kind of see if they can get some money out of this, this volatility that may come, with these uncertainties. But either way, again, Johnson & Johnson got earnings tomorrow. We just looked at, JB Hunt. While we at it, let's look at check out old Johnson & Johnson right now going into tomorrow's earnings. Right. So anything from 719. Again, these are the most current, recently, I guess, placed trades surrounding Johnson & Johnson. So what do you see? 140 puts, 140 puts, 130 puts, 130 puts, right? 133 puts. So you got, obviously more put ratio, call ratio of people feeling very bearish on the trade. And we're not talking about small money. We're talking about pretty decent money here, right? Some of these blocks are different, though, because some of these people probably took some profit. They might have rolled their position also 196,000, 18,000, right? Excuse me, 240,000, 20,000, 23,000. So you guys can see it, but a lot of people still feeling kind of bearish on Johnson & Johnson. All right, look at the chart, even on the daily. Right, let me move this out of the way. People kind of feeling like, hey, man, we don't know what's going to happen. Nice little open up there, shot up when the market opened up, right? Went up here and tested around about 136 and change, right? Sold off all the way back down to 134.50. So that was a nice little drop there. So the day traders caught that. And some of these short sellers kind of top tick this short right here on Johnson & Johnson out the gate. They picked up almost a couple, 2 whole full points off that downtrend in roughly about 5 minutes. That's why I love trading. So literally, somebody made their entire day in 5 minutes a grand slam. So they don't pretty much even have to trade no more for the rest of the day. So if they got short right up around this top tick on this point of this thing spiking up here early on, and then losing weight by showing that ugly wick there, probably got short around that 136 20 136.15, rode this baby all the way down below the VWAP. Then it broke the 20-day moving average here. It was lights out all the way down to the 50-day moving average, and then down and tested 134.50. They probably went in with a leveraged account and made good money, and they're done for the day. Right? Thank you, Johnson & Johnson. Cash out, go on about your day. Or even at that point, probably broke the pivot, rolled it back up above the 50-day moving average, tested the 20, buy opportunity, got in, scalped it above the VWAP, made money all the way back up. Now, to the point where they probably took some more money when it came back and tested the 20-day moving average, way up here around 1010. Took profit again around 135.75, especially if they bought in even around maybe 135 even, picked up 75 cents in profit, per share on a scalp leverage play and still make money, even to the upside. This kind of stuff, man, you just live for it because there's so much opportunity that we can make out of this market. Over there, we find those very volatile stocks that offer up great movement, in terms of an ATR, right? Average true range, average trading range, where we got more than a full point or so, meaning $1 more in that particular movement that it typically trades on a daily basis, right? So that's good money if you got a good leverage account where you can really benefit from it, right? So again, that's Johnson & Johnson. So they got earnings tomorrow during the AM hour, so we'll see what that's going to do. Going into earnings, again, looks very bearish in terms of the daily. That really don't say a lot, but let's back it up and look at the 3-month chart, right? That's a very ugly chart right there, right? Because it seemed like it just trended out in an ugly little channel for quite some time, right? Since March, kind of been staying, true to this kind of, let's say 140, and roughly around about 135-ish, somewhere around there, give or take, about a $5 channel value, without these kind of nasty little drops and kind of going back up, pulling back, and staying within this channel again between 140 and 135, which is kind of hovering around that point right now. All right, so we'll see. Again, it has a lot to prove going into earnings with all that kind of ugly news surrounding it. So it's either going to break out, back above 140, 138, 140, at least the 20-day moving average, up here around this 140, 42 area, especially the 20-day, 50-day moving average around this 138.50. Well, it's going to be, it's going to be some problems, right? Well, they're going to have some problems. Right, so as of now, it looks very bearish. Just my opinion. Right, just my opinion. All right, so that's again. Let me see. We'll do one more Domino's Pizza, right? Because Domino's Pizza got earnings. I don't know if you guys, mess with Domino's Pizza or you don't. Try to look almost just pretty much just like Johnson & Johnson. How about that? Looks just like Johnson & Johnson, even on the daily here. Again, you had it, up here at a point where it was trending around 282.50 when it opened up. Sold off nasty. When the bell opened up, and man, this thing just, man, look at that drop. So if you was in shorted up here around, this 282.50, 282 on the breakdown of even shuts at the tip of the top of the VWAP here, because it respected it and broke and didn't necessarily pierce above it here. Just looking at how I would have played it, saw weakness that it didn't necessarily get above the VWAP. I feel like I blow this up here. Come on, okay, here we go. It couldn't pierce above the VWAP here around this 282, maybe 281 right here. Show weakness there, and look at the thing drop. It separated itself from the VWAP, separated itself more from the 20-day moving average, and definitely separated itself from the 50-day moving average. That was a nice little play out the gate. You literally could have stayed in this thing all the way down into, shucks, down to the point around there 270. So you picked up almost a full $10 off the drop this morning, guys. Look at this money here. A full $10 drop from 9:30 to around, roughly around 9:55. Y'all know my little strategy, 9:50, 10 o'clock pullback. That's when you look for a reversal on stocks that either sold off big or gapped up big. So just like clockwork, between 9:50 and 10 o'clock, what happened? When it bottomed out around, 9:55, 9:56, around this point here, it bottomed out around 270, a little under 270, maybe 269 and change. short start covering, that's why you get this long bullish engulfing candle here. That's your cue, to take your profit to it somewhere within this stretch of this green candle. And now you got the opportunity to ride it back long, because guess what? It got above the 20-day moving average, straddled it for a little while, then it broke above it. That's when you want to go long, right? For the scalp, if you scalp it. Got above the 20, the VWAP here on this big engulfing, bullish candle, another buy signal, right? Ride it higher, right? So some of the people that got in there, they got rewarded from it, just looking at the chart here on a daily basis, and they wrote it back up around this maybe 271.50 from around this maybe 270, 268 and change, 269 reading, and made a little money off that little scalp on the upside, right? Excuse me, not on the back. I'm looking at back on this side, excuse me, right here, back above this 275 area right here. So roughly about another 5-point move to the upside, scalp to the upside, made your little money and moved on, right? So again, offered up some great volatility here on Domino's Pizza in the earnings. So real quick, let's run over here to the option flow chart here. What do you see on the chart here, right? What do you see far as, puts to call ratio going into tonight, pretty much to tomorrow's earnings, right? So you got some 280 puts, $200 puts, and somebody look at that, you got the contract all the way out to 2021. Somebody's betting real big, right, in the 2021 that this thing will kind of obviously trend sideways or downwardly. Maybe not even hit the $200 strike price in May, but by 2021, somebody's bet pretty much big, $165,000 with strike value, that this thing's going to trend lower. Given that time, obviously they'll be out probably even a lot early before then. But either way, they're betting that the stock's going to come down some, which obviously they can make money if this thing flows downwardly, from this point going forward. Not necessarily go higher. And so again, giving themselves some cushion and time restraint. But again, you got some, another one here, $200 puts, block value here. People took some out, maybe left some in, who knows. And so this makes it for a very interesting scenario. We got 280 call here. All right, and you got another 280 put here. Now this is ugly here, so this is real big. Somebody got $280 calls at a $274,000 sweet value. So somebody thinking this thing gonna probably retracing probably go higher. Who knows? So very interesting here on Domino's Pizza. Nonetheless, going to earnings. All right, so we'll see how that turns out. If you to make your own, I guess. Assessment, you can, pretty much see what's going on with Domino's Pizza, whether you be, bullish or bearish, in that perspective, right? And so that's just pretty much from the, from the April flow chart perspective. I mean, the April, open interest perspective. All right, so let's see what the daily flow chart looks like. Let's see if this thing gonna propagate here in a minute. I might need to reset. I might need to reset it. But either way, we see there's a lot of put players in there. You see some call buyers mixed in there too. So either way, we'll see what happens come tonight, and see what the market has to offer. Far as bulls, bears, and how bad either one of them want it. All right, either gonna barbecue or mildew. Either gonna barbecue or mildew. Right. And so you got a call interest and the put interest here of roughly about, it's pretty decent little amount of put buyers to call buyers. So this is the total amount of put buyers to call buyers at this point in terms of the open interest value in both of those prospective plays if you're going to go short or long, right? The daily put volume and the daily call volume, you can see it here. You got the puts outweighing the calls here at this point or this juncture in going into the bell, roughly about 15 minutes here, roughly to the bell, where you got the put buyers, again, outweighing the call buyers, right? So this might get a little tasty for Domino's Pizza tomorrow. I might take a smaller position on Domino's. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Right, but that's what we're looking like here going into the bell here, where the chart looks very ugly on the day. They made money early on, obviously, right? And those guys are out of there at this point. And now you just got people on the back end of the day trying to, they're eating the scraps or what's left. Right, they're eating the scraps here. All right, so yeah, let me get out of here. Turn to the screen here and then get ready. Go through my little position here, get my little trade set for the rest of the day. I just wanted to kind of come on and provide a little commentary, if nothing else. I'm pretty sure you guys are checking this market out, but, as far as tomorrow, again, we got a few nice little plays, earning plays, matter of fact. I guess I didn't show you tomorrow's calendar, although you guys can pull it up on your own, but I'll just pull it up here so you guys can see it yourself. If you don't use, already use, Earning Whisper, there's others out there. Here's the link. Right, here's the link for that. Right, if you guys want to check it out. Yeah, Citigroup, man. Citigroup was one of those plays. I see here, Brother Marcel. It's good to see you, family. Power Property, right? Yeah, so that, again, Citigroup, the bank's obviously giving their opportunity to get out there and present what they're going to do. If they're going to make money, if they're going to what? Crap the bed, right? And so they've already kicked it off a little bit in Citigroup, kind of giving us some kind of indication what the market may be looking forward to. Far as Netflix, the big one that's coming up Wednesday, man. There's some money going to be made this week. It's going to be a lot of money made this week, one way or the other. Even with the Fed, rate cut scenario looming at the end of the month, people are going to start probably still bid on some of these stocks that may even lose on earnings. They may still come in by the bottom because they think that Fed boost with the rate cut may boost some of these stocks up, along the whole entire market. So some of these stocks may sell off, and then people come right in and buy the bottom up real fast because they see that the discount going into this federal rate cut that may cause these stocks to go up because the overall market sentiment is going to be what? Potentially bullish. So there's a lot of things going to be happening. So just make sure you think this thing all the way through. If you take any position on any of these stocks in the earnings, on the account that even if they miss or beat or whatever, that you're cognizant of all the potentialities that may happen, right? So you protect your backside and also strategize for the upside, right? And so we want to make sure we're very, very, thorough in that perspective, so we don't be out there, just treading water, right? We want to be very thorough in that, right? So again, that's what we got for us tomorrow. You got Canadian Pacific Railway, Charles Schwab, Commerce Bank Shares, Domino Pizza, First Horizon, Goldman Sachs, Johnson Johnson, JPMorgan, Mercantile Bank, PLD. I mean, you got some nice little roundup tomorrow, right? Nice little squad of stocks to look at tomorrow, right? Right. So again, it's gonna be some money made tomorrow, one way or the other, right? It's gonna be some money made one way or the other. I just make sure, I just hope that all of us on the right side of the trade, in terms of our little family, and so we can capitalize on it. Again, don't gamble. Take your time, be patient. If you don't feel convicted, don't take the trade. If you can't answer 3 of those questions of the 4 W's, don't take the trade. You can always play it tomorrow once the news drops. The volatility still may be there. You get a chance to play the bounce, right? Either up or down. You still make money. If you're not convicted to take trade into earnings, or if you're not hedged with a call to put ratio into earnings to just capitalize the move itself, right? So either way, again, just make sure that you are, cognizant that you're making good decisions, right? So the rest is up to the what? Up to the chart at that point. You've done your part. It's up to the market to kind of go out there and do it at that point, So that's it, guys. So outside of that, man, just been a crazy, crazy day in the market. Tesla is on fire. It's broken out and gone higher here. Since earlier, we've been looking at it. There's no stopping it at this point. Apparently, Tesla has a bone to pick for a lot of bearish traders, even like myself, that make good money off trading it, right? Over the time, it definitely shook me out of my trade earlier. And now, again, the stock is just, ripping higher here on the back end of the day. Clean chart, though. If you look at the daily chart on Tesla, man, that thing just, it looks beautiful. I mean, you ain't no ands about it. The daily chart just been a constantly incline throughout the entire day, right? And the daily just looks like, man, like money, right? So again, that's people again starting to say, well, hey, we think Tesla has opportunity, to get his footing again. If anybody else knows Tesla more than anybody, y'all know it's me. Much as I trade Tesla. So, some days it has its moments. And it says, hey, you know what? I'm the king of this castle. I'm the captain now, right? I'm the captain now, right? And then other times it's like, hey, hey, I can't deal with the bears. They got my number. And so Tesla has proven today, without doubt, that shucks, you move, get out the way kind of reality, like Ludacris song, get out the way. if you're bearish against me, right? Because I'm about getting this paper today in terms of movement value, and it has shown that. It's definitely shown that if you look at the daily chart on Tesla. Okay, so kudos to those who bought the scalp or the bottom on Tesla today. In relation, they had a little news that came out earlier, actually in relation to PCG, that they're looking to go into the potential, electricity game and challenge, dirty energy in terms of what PG offers, right? They want to offer more renewable, clean energy in terms of solar. They deal in the whole solar space. Again, Tesla, right? Y'all already know the story on that, or the backstory, as they call it, on that. So, again, nonetheless, it has made for a great, a great trade for people who bought that up under that auspice, so to speak, right? So kudos to you guys who got in on that play. Right? It actually, shook me out my trade, so I took an L on it, a small one, but it was an L nonetheless. Right? I took an L on it. So again, outside of that, man, again, just get excited for for what's to come. Again, it's going to be a great day of trading tomorrow, and I look forward to it. And I hope you guys are strategized properly and ready to get to this bag, and keep benefiting off this opportunity. All right. So let's see what we got here. So get ready to get my little trades together here on the back end of the day. I do feel a little risky here, in a good way. Obviously, I've done enough, my little research, but still up to the market to kind of honor it or not honor it. So we'll see what comes of this. When we get ready to drop these numbers. All right. So again, right about 7 minutes before the bell, guys. 7 minutes before the bell. Hope you guys are poised in position, right, for your day. You've done all you can do, right? The rest is up to the market. Hopefully, you guys have done well in your endeavors to get what you need from this market.
We are still on record close watch despite a lackluster session, of course.
All right. Friday, and see what we got here.
On the Dow, the Nasdaq remains high too. S&P just lower as we stand.
All right. So the SPY definitely treading water here, trying to go higher here into the close, trying to turn green on the back end of the day, which y'all know they love spike in the market on the back end of the day. They are the ultimate, pump and dump, throttlers of the market when it comes to the back end of the day. They love pushing the market up. All right, so again, definitely look for the market to kind of try to get above Friday's closing price, so they can have some kind of value of a bullish sentiment going into earnings tomorrow for the overall market. All right, so as of now, again, you got definitely some fighting going on here near that, that $300.65 level point of the S&P 500. So we'll see what comes from that again here on the back end of the day. All right, guys. So again, about 6 minutes before the bell, about 6 minutes before the bell, getting close to that time frame. Again, I got a couple little scalp plays out. We'll see what comes from that. Let's see. Everything else looks good. And Tesla just just broke out nicely. It might pull back here after hours, or it may go higher. Who knows? But it looks good though. This might be the point where I step in and play my Mr. Big role. Come in like Mr. Big, like hey, you kind of showed out today a little bit. Now it's time to kind of meet your maker here. Take a small little position on Tesla up here around the 354 level here. Looking very attractive here on the short side. Right, looks very extended on the daily. That's just my opinion, right? There goes the SPY pulling back down here on the back end of the day. So again, just clean up some of my trades, locking in a little bit, you know, locking in a little bit of profit here. Where are we on? Let's see. We got JB Hunt. We got DPZ. We got who else we got? Johnson & Johnson. Yeah. All right. So again, just be on the lookout for again. You know, you got you know, again, Netflix this Tuesday, Wednesday. That's gonna be a big one. I need to clean up some of this PCG real quick. That trade did very well today. Y'all, I'm scalping PCG for a long time. I'm paying those little overnight fees. I don't care. You know, I got option puts in it, and I got, you know, regular short going PCG. You know, I've been waiting for this moment. Y'all know I've been hitting up PCG for the longest. You know, ever since that, you know, bankruptcy news hit. So again, I'm just cleaning a little bit here and there, leaving the rest to run, because I think we're gonna go lower. You know, I could be wrong. Might, you know, run me up out of here. Who knows? But outside of that, I'm insulated in terms of what I've gotten out of it at this point, where I'm not feeling, you know, nervous about it enough to kind of stay in the trade. You know. So the rest is just history at this point. And there goes Facebook selling off after that news really being to turn over on them. Good luck, Facebook. I guess they serve their purpose at the White House, and, you know, shaking people up out their trade, or up out their trade, I should say. And Joker's backpedaling real big now. Woo. Say ooh, woo, woo, woo. So I got my little couple of earning plays I'm gonna take. You know, I ain't no secret. There ain't no secret. Ain't no little thing but a little chicken wing. I'm gonna see if this thing gonna do the thing on thing. You think gonna run me up out of there? I'm gonna make me a little dollar. I'm gonna make me a little coin. Either I'm gonna go, you know, go live in the poorhouse tomorrow. I'll be calling y'all to like send me some little, you know, some ramen noodle money, all right? Or you know, I'm gonna barbecue in a batch of kale tomorrow. One way or the other. Your brother gonna, you know, your brother gonna end out this day. So yeah, let me share my screen going on the back end of the day here. You know, you guys can see what I got going on here while we close out this day, this trading day session. All right, so I went ahead and kind of cleaned up a little bit, took a little bit, made a little bit, you know what I'm saying, did all right. So again, as you can see, I definitely got a little bit of JP Hunt in the earnings, and I got a little bit of Domino's Pizza, right? And so, you know, I got some of my PCG still rolling, took a little bit off the table, respectfully, rightfully so. And here comes the bell, guys. We got about a minute before the bell, guys, so make sure you check all your positions. Make sure, you know, all is well in the world of trading, that you're comfortable in your position. If you ain't, you know, hey, you got about a couple seconds to get right. Right? Don't be like can't get right on the movie life. We're gonna miss you can't get right, you know. Market makers took all your little coins, right? You done bet big and ain't looking good. Just make sure you go check all your trades, make sure all your trades are closed that need to be closed, make sure all your trades are set for tomorrow. You're gonna swing anything, and the rest is out, you know, the rest is history. As you can see, you got Domino's Pizza here, definitely on the back end. You know, it's doing a little something here. You got JB Hunt trying to spike a little bit here. Right? You know, so PCG pulling back a little bit. All right, so either JB Hunt gonna hit me up for about a good, you know, $700-800, you know, $1,000 on the low side, or I'm gonna make about $700-800 on the win side. All right, either way. It's about to get real ugly on JB Hunt. It's about to get ugly on JB Hunt. So you guys get to see it real time here on my little account. Just hanging out with your brother at least. Again, either they're gonna hit me up, you know, or they're gonna break me off. Right? Make me a little kale, what they call some a little kale money, right? I'm gonna buy some organic kale off this little win here potentially, or I'm gonna go get some gluten-free ramen noodles. Right. There they go.
They have a lot to say about shipping. Been soft. Prices also been soft here at the U.S. At the NYSE. New highs expanding. Dow components at new highs. Procter and Gamble and that.
They just dropped the numbers. They just dropped their numbers. JB Hunt just dropped their numbers. Revenue 1.15 billion. I think the consensus was 1.3 something. No, what was that? 1. Oh, we selling off. Oh, we selling off, baby. Hey, don't get happy though. Y'all know how this market is. It starts selling off, and then it turn around and go right back up. So net 133 million on the day, on the quarter, 2.26 billion on the annual revenue. Oh man, yeah. You might have did transfer service. You might have did all right. Golly, let's see here.
27,357 right there. Also, fresh highs.
And what was I had the numbers? Oh, they're in my phone.
3014 is your level.
Truck revenue.
Small caps.
Hold up, what was the number that I had? I forgot what they had.
Down 0.5%.
Yeah, nice little pop into the close that dragged the S&P.
Come on, JB Hunt, don't fail me now, baby. Let's go. Yeah, I forgot what the numbers were supposed to be. I had them somewhere put down, like they ought to come in with so much earnings per share and on revenue. Let's go, JB Hunt. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. There we go. Let's go, JB Hunt. I said we're gonna make $500-700 on the downside, or we're gonna make that to the upside. Right now, we're looking good. We're looking good. Don't disappoint, JB Hunt. Let's go lower. Let's go lower, JB Hunt. Don't disappoint. I need you to insulate me in this trade, JB Hunt. Don't do me like this. Don't you do it, JB Hunt. Don't do it, JB Hunt.
Just not a food analogy.
Oh, come on, don't do it. They're gonna turn around and spike this thing. Okay, so they missed on earnings per share. Oh man, they missed pretty ugly on earnings per share. So they missed on earnings per share roughly around 12 cents. They missed 12 cents on the earnings per share, but they beat on revenue. So they did beat on revenue. Oh no, they're in line. They're in line with revenue. So actually that means they missed revenue too. Hold up. Let me cut down this CNBC. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to talk over them. So yeah, they missed on earnings per share by 13 cents. And they came in line on revenue. Right? Sales were about 226 billion. The estimate was 226 billion. So roughly, when you come in line like that, you roughly missed on your earnings. In essence, to the expectation that you want growth to the point where people can see that you're exceeding expectations, right? Because people always want to look forward in the value that you're able to maintain. Now, in some cases, it can be a good indicator for stocks that are highly beat up because they need to see that you're still trading above water, right? But we know the transports has been in trouble lately because of the scenario. They're dealing with the global softening in terms of the overall economy from a global tariff perspective, right? So again, we talk about logistics here. Shipping, shipping companies, so to speak, moving goods and services around the world. If people ain't making products or producing products, they ain't got no business, so to speak, right? Or the people, lessening their output value in terms of shipping products off. Then again, that hurts JB Hunt, being the kind of, the carrier for some of these major companies. So either way, we want to look at the international numbers from JB Hunt, see what they did from an international perspective, and we also want to look at the local perspective. But from an intermodal perspective, they're saying that the revenue is about 1.15 billion, right? Dedicated contract service revenue was around about 680 million, and the trucking segment revenue is around 99.6 million. So when they drop the numbers, when you go look at the report and see exactly what those numbers, how they match up with the estimates were, you'll get some color and whether or not they did pretty good or bad in certain aspects or sectors of those channels of potential money producing assets that they could offer in terms of their services. And so as of now, it seems like they came in very soft on some aspects that were very key that the analysts were kind of looking at, they want to see growth in. Yeah, you guys have seen them JPH Hunt trucks out there when you're out there on the highway. I mean, come on, it ain't, it's like saying a Ryder truck or a Penske truck or even U-Haul, you know, so they're a well-known brand, you know. Again, JB Hunt ain't on this, you know, average, you know, run-of-the-mill kind of little company. They're well-known, right? They're a well-known little company, right? And so, you know, they're definitely under the gun. It was already coming in to this earnings report that they was going to have some soft, you know, potential soft numbers. And so a lot of people are saying, well, hey, you know, this might be the moment, you know, where, you know, JB Hunt, you know, if they lowered the guidance low as they did, there might be the chance for them to turn around. And they still may have a chance to do just that. Again, you never count the chickens in this market because this market is very crude. Right? The same way you see it going back up right now, it can easily go back all the way back up to $93 and go higher. Right? So that's why they say never celebrate too soon, right, in this market, because it's a brutal market. Because again, people are still, they're trying to plan for the rate cut. Right? They may be saying, oh, this might be an attractive dip buy on JBH Hunt, right? So it may sell off now, but when they drop that federal rate cut, man, this thing could probably go higher with the rest of the market. So let me get in at the discount price. This is the discount price, buying in cheaper. You know, so again, you never count your chickens too early in this market. You got to wait, you know, and see how this thing unfolds here. But as of now, you know, hey, you know, I'm kind of up, but in the same breath, you know, I'm just as much as nervous as the bulls who were buying above, you know, the $92, $93 handle for their little $95 calls or whatever. Right? This thing can easily spike up and go higher at this point. Right? So it can easily go higher. As you can see, you see how this thing spiking up, going crazy. People trying to figure out what they want to do with these numbers here. They digesting the data. They're trying to look at, okay, what's this, what's that. You know, again, it would have been nice if this thing flushed down around by 87, you know, broke, excuse me, 88, broke this 88. Then I would have really started feeling real comfortable about my situation, right? I would be like, oh yeah, now we're looking good. But since we kind of rat in this kind of strange, you know, this ugly area between, you know, 90 and 92.50, then ain't nothing really to celebrate at this point. Only for the value that it can get very ugly here if the buyers step in and say, well, hey, we're going to push this thing up. As you can see, it's starting to move where you got some buyers coming in trying to buy the bottom. You know, that's what the market does. That's why you can never count your chickens too early in this market. You know, I'm up about a couple $100, you know, give or take. All right. And there goes Boeing dropping or somewhat showing like it's trying to show like it's dropping. But yeah, so overall, that's what JB Hunt's looking like at this point. So this might be a great time for them to buy what they call buy the dip. And that may be what they're trying to do here. Look at that. Oh, I see some buyers coming in now. Oh, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. They're going to run this price back up. Somebody going to buy this dip up. They, again, just like I just sat there and premised it to y'all, that this is the kind of stuff that they'll do. You know, they'll buy the dip up saying it's a good opportunity to buy and run the price right back up. I just sat there and premised that. That's why you never get too excited. You know, even though I had my little moment of cheering there, you know, they're just part of the game. But you never count your chickens until they hatch. And so just like that, I seen a big buyer sitting at around the $91 handle with trying to buy 13,000 shares. Someone was trying to buy 13,000 shares at $91. Big buyer sit down there. Wow. Just like that. That's the market. That is the market. So yeah, so it's going to come back and get all that back. So there you go. They bought the dip up just like I said they probably would do. And now you're getting ready to take this thing green. They're going to take it green. You know, Wall Street was really betting on JB Hunt too. That's why they needed it. Needed JB Hunt to beat. They needed JB Hunt to beat because a lot of people was betting on them to win. Right there you go. Now you got this going on. It's probably going to be okay. UBNK halted on news pending. We'll see how much this price costs. This is $14 stop. So wherever the news come out on UBNK, you guys seen it? It's United Financial Bank. So this is a company got earnings tomorrow, or they got earnings tonight. But either way, this is a banking company, right? So keep your eyes on them when they when they come out of this halt. But as of now, JB Hunt is going higher. Just like that, they pushing the price up. Now it's up to $95, guys. So there goes my little $300-400, like I was just saying. Just like that. dip because they want to buy it, buy this into the what? Into the rate cut. Just like I premised it, like these people are brutal. That's why you can never compete with Wall Street money. When they want to get what they want out of a trade, they're gonna do what they can because you can't compete with their money. Now they took an L because a lot of people are buying the $95 calls, this, that, and the third. So, if they could spike even the put buyers that were trying to buy the $85 calls, or $85 puts or the $9 puts, this is the opportunity to do it. So they also position might have been like raggedy, but they're gonna make money on buying the equity off the bottom of the dip and benefit from that. So right now, again, down about $199 on that, not 200 whatever, and we'll see what goes from there. It might even go higher around 96. We'll see. Right. And there goes PCG selling off here on the back end too. So just like that, my little honeymoon turned into a ramen noodle night. So ramen noodles for me, guys. There goes my little kale bath, right? I won't be rolling around in a batch of kale tonight. It's gonna be a batch of the most cheap MSG ramen noodles, right? So let me go and get my little MSG, my little sodium content up. Get me some water. I'm gonna be drinking some ramen noodles. But again, clearly, from the numbers they missed on top, they missed on the bottom. In terms of what the analysts were expecting, and people saw this as an opportunity to buy the dip. Again, just a brutal market. No matter how much you're playing for a trade to go your way, you can't compete against Wall Street when they take an L. And then obviously they took an L. Wall Street has a problem with taking an L, rightfully so. So retail traders always have to, we always get the short end of the stick because you can't compete with their money. Right? That's neither a slight or swipe against them. That's just how the game goes. That's why we study for this and we never risk more than we are willing to lose. Right? Exactly why. Hence, that's why I went small on 150 shares. I can risk a $3 or $4 point move. Right? That's what I was telling myself. In my mind that the options is implying about a 5% move. Right? 5% of what? A $94 ticket price. You can do the math on that. Right? You can do the math on that. Right, so I was willing to, risk about $500-700, $400-500. Obviously it goes against me, but I could easily make that same amount, if it goes with me. And so right now, again, I got to eat ramen noodles, right? Gluten-free ramen noodles tonight, because Wall Street decided to say, well, hey, we want this higher, even though they missed. We want this higher because we bet that it's gonna go up. And we lost on our options trades, but we could buy the equity up and run the price up higher despite the put buyers that could have been eaten down here at $88 a share. Now we still got to wait on a conference call, but as of right now, they got this price up in a way where even if it came down, it'll trend no more lower than maybe like 92, 91. Right? They don't want this thing to really drop at this point because again, Wall Street don't want to take that L. Right, so it's a dirty market. It's a dirty market, but that's it. So live some, you live to win, you live to lose. That's just the game. Clearly they missed. I can't stop saying that. Clearly they missed on earnings, but like little kids like that's the game. But a good thing is, I got some follow through on my dump on PCG here, right? Pull back a little bit here and after. I hope it goes lower. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So that's that. That's all I want to wait for the little fireworks to come out. So that's the end of that little position. So I'll be down about $400-500 when it all said and done, probably tomorrow. And that's just that. Now I can be about my day. So yeah, roughly 2,300 value. Gave back 300 here so far. So basically, took back a little tax money I made on $300 on the profit value today. JB Hunt came and got all that back. Let me get all that there. So let me get all that there. Like Debo, and that's just that. So let me go ahead and check a couple other little positions I got. So that's a little after our fireworks. So I'm gonna ask all y'all to pass some money around the collection plate. We're gonna be doing an offering tonight for my little My little run over to Whole Foods, get me some ramen noodles, right? Go past the collection plate around because it's about to get ugly on JB Hunt. Look at the volume still coming in. People still buying. Look at the people these buyers coming in. Boy, look at these jokers come in and buy this dip up on JB Hunt. These jokers have missed, and people still buying it up. You can't compete against these buzzers on Wall Street. They can't take an L properly, guys. They ain't gonna take an L properly. They are not gonna take that L properly. Yeah, that's the game. All right, so yeah, so guys, yeah, so I'm gonna need Deacon so-and-so to come out and pass that collection plate around. We're gonna do a little shakedown here. You know, we take everything except lint. Yeah, don't put in your old lucky rabbit foot. We can't spin or eat that. Don't pass that old. Don't pay somebody get on the keyboard or the organ over there, play some of that old good little offering music. Get you in the offering mood. You're gonna go and pass that collection plate all around the room. Just like the movie Life with Claude and what's his name? Claude and I forgot the other guy there, Eddie Murphy. We get ready to head to the upper room, guys. The upper room. We going to the upper room tonight, guys. All right, so I'm gonna check my little Bitcoin scenario here. So we still looking good on Bitcoin. Again, still up around the 10.9 points. So we're looking real good there on that play. So we're looking for some follow through. Possibly we can get, maybe, if we're fortunate, we can get above the VWAP. The VWAP, the 20-day moving average here. Right, we might can get above the 20-day moving average here. Probably before the day's over with, but we'll see how that turns out. As of now, it looks pretty good. We hold it pretty well up here. We just didn't get this nice little pop. And you got people to sell into it. Right, so again, that's something very, very revealing and telling on the back end of the that whole press conference about Steve Mnuchin. And Donald Trump trying to spike Bitcoin. We looking pretty good here. I'm loving that. As they say, just like the little that McDonald's commercial, ain't that the McDonald's little handle? I'm loving that. I'm loving that right now. So again, that money I made actually scalping Bitcoin. Okay, made a little bit more than I'm losing a little bit on this little JB Hunt right now. I ain't really lost nothing. In terms of that, because my little Bitcoin scalp, that thing looked pretty good. That right there looked pretty good here. Again, getting there around about 9.8. It was around about 9.89, somewhere around there. And now we up to like 10.9 on that scalp. Right, so we'll just let JB Hunt show out, and hopefully tomorrow Domino's Pizza go my way, and we'll get all that back on Domino's Pizza. Right now, JB Hunt didn't wet the bed on me. Right? They didn't wet the bed. So I'm loving that. Again, that we do got some nice little follow through again on Bitcoin here, establishing itself back above a very, very critical key point of support around the $98 handle, which put a lot of people on edge in essence to get rid of causing a lot of people to get to the point where they might want to sell some of their position, and take a little bit of profit off the table. They already took some off the $13,000 level point anyway. This gave them some little bit of comfort and say, hey, we got another day to fight. Now that we got it back above the 10.5 area, 10.2 area, definitely 10,000 even, and we up near $10,900, and $45 here, give or take. Get ready to test this $11,000 level here very shortly, which will be awesome, of course, which will be definitely awesome, because now that puts us in a point of, a point where we can get back above the VWAP and then take this thing on higher, right? Take this thing higher, reclaim, those gains back that were taken from us, from a very raggedy tweet and hit piece that Donald Trump put out to kind of spike, put buyers, or I say put buyers, or the call buyers. When I say call buyers, I mean the bullish traders, in the crypto space. All right, so we'll see what comes from that. All right, so we'll see what comes from that. All right, so that's it, guys. So let me get ready to go handle a little business here. Got to finish up my day running errands and handling business. The same way I kind of open up my little live stream, I guess I'm gonna close it. Well, not close it out in that perspective, but finish it up in that same breath. I gotta make a quick little run here. Get ready for tomorrow. So I'm running over here to the little barber shop, get cleaned up, get my little face trimmed up. Made a little bit. At least I can get my little face trimmed up. Y'all pass that collection plate around. Hey, ushers, y'all ain't moving fast enough. Pass that collection plate around now. Jamie Hunter took us to lunch. But now, seriously, guys, do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you guys for hanging out with your brother. I appreciate it as always. Tomorrow I do have again some appointments to run and handle. As soon as those things are over, hopefully I'll get a chance to come back on and go live. Well, that's my plan at least. Open up the live stream again tomorrow, and we can go over some trades on the back end of the day because we got some earning plays. Again, this is going to be a great earnings week in terms of things that we can potentially get a chance to play and get out there. And so hopefully we can benefit greatly on some of these trades, if everything goes our way. Right. So I'm looking forward to some more earning plays. Again, y'all know I got done with those pieces going into tomorrow, so ain't no secret there. The JB Hunt one was looking good for every bit of 2 seconds, right? We were eating good, and then the market did like I figured like it probably would do. Again, I guess I called it to the T. I called my own demise. You know what? They're gonna turn around and body dips up because they're trying to play this the federal rate cut. I say these, say that these are what good, dip buying opportunities. I mean, just as sure as they did exactly that on JB Hunt. Again, major loss, on earnings, but in this kind of market, again, this is the manipulation aspect where you just can't do nothing about it, right? Your money ain't big enough to challenge them. Unless I'm going to trade it after hours, like right now. If I was looking to short it right now after hours, then yeah, I may get some, a chance to get it up here at this point and flush it back down, make a little bit of that money right back. But again, it's not that serious. Trading it, don't do that anyway. But if I was even, open up this other account just to short after hours, I'm good. Again, bird in hand beat one in the bush. And I did pretty well on the daily, where I don't necessarily warrant me having to go all the extremities just for a little $400-$500 value when I'm cleared up a lot more than that on Bitcoin scalp and also my daily profit on PCG. Right? But that's just how the game goes. Right, so that's it, guys. So peace, power, and profit to the family. Man, I appreciate you guys as always. Hey, what's going on, family? My brother Jacob that came through. Peace, power, profit to you, man. And you're trying to get back going a little bit, man. We'll be, rocking and rolling. Again, just trying to get everything kind of in place so we can do these things every day. Because that's my goal, to get back to doing them every day, right? Call out some trades, go over some, some information, look at some tickers. Just put out some good perspective where we can all benefit from. But above all things, being thorough in our assessments. We don't want to lead nobody astray. We don't never come on and tell somebody definitively to buy or sell anything. Being respected to people's own ability to do their own due diligence and research, because that's what matters at the end of the day. A person being convicted to take their trade based upon what they're able to do, right? And that's what matters above all. Being very, very careful and very thorough, right? To the degree where you're skittish in a good way, but aggressive in the same likeness, right? So get excited for that, right? So again, same time tomorrow. Well, I guess it's gonna be the same time tomorrow, because by the time I do finish, my errands tomorrow, I'll be back probably around 12ish. I may get a chance to be back, in front of the screen around 12ish. Who knows? And we'll see what comes from that, right? And so until then, guys, make sure you again stay, 10 toes down, keep your ear to the streets in terms of Wall Street and Main Street, right? See what the market is producing, one way or the other, and we'll benefit off it one way or the other. Right? So peace, power, profit to that. Right. So until then, again, trade safe, choose well, and stay green, my friends. Your brother Afurakan signing out, and I will catch you guys in the back chats and so forth on a little bit later today when I come back from running these errands here, and we'll see what the market can do for us. Right. Peace, power, profit, everyone.